Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on Shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Good morning! Welcome to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network Live. Adam Baydoun, Jeff Frady, Gabrielle D. Phillips, Flannel Sam in the audio booth, Alex Westfall in the video booth. We got a jam-packed show. We got a full crew today for the first time this week. It's nice to see all of you. How you doing?
One day and one day only this week.
Finally, we're all off IR.
Oh, wait, let me check my schedule.
Okay.
Tomorrow I'm waking up with AIDS, so I won't be here.
Well.
Sorry.
I won't be here tomorrow, but
At least
you guys will live. You guys will live. JV will be back. Well, yeah, technically we haven't even had everyone here this week for one full show because even though Flannel Sam is fantastic, he's not a part of the normal morning group.
Flannel, without sounding like an asshole, I actually like you a lot in the booth. Now I know why Neil talks so highly of you.
Oh, thank you.
I enjoy...
The legend killer.
You know, when you say it like that, I kind of miss JB now.
We gotta clip that.
Look, we had a fun
sound.
show yesterday. So it was fun, but there's a lot of action today. Obviously, the league schedule news, which we kind of knew about last night, really, but wouldn't be confirmed until the morning, which was Chiefs-Lions opening up the season. My goodness. We'll get to that much later on in the show, around 9 o'clock. We'll preview early September, how many primetime games they're going to get, everything that's going to go on with the Lions schedule. Of course, we got to get to the Cam Sutton interview from yesterday. We'll play back some of the interview for all of you who missed it. It was on Ermanni and Edwards. Full interview is on all of our social media platforms, so feel free to check it out. And then we'll get, of course, to Hendon Hooker, who it seems Dan Campbell and everybody that's talked about the quarterback so far is kind of just like, yeah, he's going to learn. He's going to sit back. And if he's great, great. And if he isn't, great. And I love that. I love that. I love the zero pressure to be anything because it's a third-round pick. It's an investment, a small investment. And you're not going to cry if it doesn't work out. We'll get to the, of course, Lions schedule later on. More Cam Sutton interviews. The NBA draft lottery, I think Jeff is probably going to lose his mind, given the Red Wings' luck wasn't any better just a few days ago, which, by the way, I wasn't here for.
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to say anything about it. I just, from the bottom of my heart, fuck the Chicago Blackhawks.
Yep.
Like, really? Really? Out of all the... Give it to the Sharks, for all I care. You give it to the Blackhawks? Thanks. Thanks. Glad we moved up. Oh, wait. How many spots did we move up? None. Thanks.
Ask me about my winner.
There was playoff action last night, and Steph Curry, LeBron James went toe-to-toe in what was one of the most epic games of basketball ever. No, it wasn't. It was just a standard Lakers-Warriors game. The Warriors looked like the better team for 4 quarters, and somehow the Lakers kept kind of staying in it, except last night the Warriors... One, closed it, and 2, the Lakers just didn't hit shots, which is odd. This whole series makes no sense to me. This could easily be the Warriors in 5 and the Lakers in 5. That's what kind of series it's been. It's confusing. I love it. I absolutely love it. Steph Curry has shown more playmaking ability, by the way, this postseason than he has ever in his career. I think that's amazing. Andrew Wiggins finally stepped up and had a game. I can't believe it. Jordan Poole hit a fucking shot. I think we're all dying. Jesus is coming down. It's over. World's over. So whatever things you have left to do in your life, guys, go figure out how you're going to do in the next 24 hours because Jordan Poole made a shot.
And it seems so weird because when he plays well, they lose. But he struggles last night and they win. Shout out to Draymond Green, by the way, too. He played pretty well. They had
Draymond was excellent.
They had Tom Izzo in attendance. So, yeah, Draymond played well. But here we go. Lakers in 6, it seems like.
Well, look, you know, Flannel, you're an AD guy. You correct me at any time if you think I'm off with what I'm about to say.
Okay.
I think Anthony Davis is unplayable.
Okay, stop. Full stop.
Wait.
You said correct me. You
Wait,
said
wait. I didn't mean that fast.
all right.
I didn't even finish the point.
To be fair,
wait,
you
I
kind of
didn't
asked
finish the
for it.
point.
Okay.
I think Anthony Davis is unplayable in this series when he's aggressive. I think last night, look, I know they lost, but he got any shot he wanted within 5, 6, 7 feet of the basket at will. He was 10 of 18. He still shot over 54% from the field. The guy is a problem. Draymond can't guard him. Looney can't guard. Nobody can guard him, right? So if I'm Steve Kerr and the Lakers, what do I do with AD? Nothing. I can't do anything. If I try to bring him out in the pick and roll on defense and make him work, sure, but he's such a good defender. AD is the best player in this series outside of Steph. Flannel, you wanted to kill me 5 seconds ago, so feel free.
No, I mean you're right about AD being the best player in the series besides Steph, but it's funny how this always seems to work. Even when AD and LeBron play well, when the Warriors beat them, it's still all their fault. I heard it after game 2 and I hear it now, and it's lunacy to me that they are the ones being singled out. I get it. The star players are always going to get the brunt of the blame, but still, how is AD unplayable? You literally said that he's unstoppable and the best player in the series.
No, I meant in a good way.
Okay.
Like he is unplayable completely.
Oh, unlike guardable.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
no. Like
Okay.
from a Golden State's perspective,
okay.
you
All
can't
right.
play him. There's nothing you can do about him.
I misinterpreted that as well.
you guys both took it the same
I'm like,
way?
I want to see where he goes with this. Like,
no,
why is he
no,
unplayable?
I'm complimenting
Okay,
AD this
gotcha.
morning. No, man,
That's fair.
he's the most unguardable player in the series right now.
And he's also
There's nothing you can do about
arguably
AD.
he's also arguably the most unreliable player in this entire series.
Well, you know what? Somebody
with health
smacked him on
and
the head, and
inconsistency.
he might miss the next season as well. So we don't know how long he's going to be out. Man, but
to
look,
be determined.
Golden State, I think, can take it to 7. I think they're more than capable. We had this conversation yesterday. These games were so close. Really, game 1, game 3, game 4. What are you going to do? You know, it is what it is. Game 5, even. At the end of the day, it's going to be a good series. I'm excited. Anthony Davis, we'll see if he had a concussion or not. If he did, does that mean he can't play in Game 6?
He walked. I mean, they had a weird wheelchair for him, which
Maybe
I
he
don't know.
pooped himself like Paul Pierce.
The whole wheelchair stuff is a little overblown, but I think he'll be all right. He should be. I don't think it's a concussion. Correct me if I'm wrong, Sam. I didn't see any reports of a confirmed concussion, so he should be back. But who knows with AD? It could be. He's out for the series.
See, I heard that he avoided a concussion,
Yes.
which is good. If AD misses Game 6 and somehow the Warriors come back and win,
Yeah, they're in trouble.
I will quote an account on Twitter that I really like. It's called Barry on Here. If that happens, I will become the Joker. And it will be confirmed that Steph just has devil luck. But you know what? I think AD will play. He's got to play.
Yeah.
And I'll still pick the Lakers to win if AD plays.
I think yesterday you saw the clear problem with the Lakers, though. And I'm not trying to... This isn't against LeBron and AD, but I'm sorry. If you're relying on Lonnie Walker to get you 15, if you're relying on Austin Reeves to hit as many threes as he even hit last night, is unbelievable. This is not a good shooting team. And if you can't hold the Warriors under 105 points, you're probably going to lose the series.
That's the key. It's more defensively. Like the Lakers last night didn't play too bad offensively. They just
they shot
couldn't guard.
57%, I think, from the field in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, it's defensively, and that's where they have to get back to. But we'll see. No AD, it's a big difference. Obviously, AD is the best defender in the series.
Well, look.
But I said Lakers in 6 to begin the series. I'm sticking with it. Am I worried? Yes. I mean, it's the Golden State Warriors.
What was the adjustment yesterday? Andrew Wiggins.
Yes.
When you came off a pick and roll, Steph Curry mainly, and AD came up, you'd move the ball, attack the basket. And they did. And they got a lot of points in the paint. They got to the foul line more than usual last night. But I think there's one thing I can take away from last night that I think most of us should agree on, is the Nuggets are going to fuck the living shit out of whoever they play. Whether it's LA or Golden State. I think these are just two good teams. I don't think they're great. Denver is great. Boston can be great, but they aren't right now.
Right.
76ers are playing great. How many great teams are left in the playoffs?
No, I think that's fair. It's a fair take. Because even Miami and New York.
I mean, Miami and New York,
But credit to Miami and New York, by the way, for that series, but let's be real here. I think whoever comes out of that series with the 76ers and Celtics,
if the Heat,
they should be favorited to make the finals.
If the Heat or the Sixers make the finals, I mean...
Credit to them. I mean, I would be
good
shocked.
for them.
Yeah, but you're right about that. The Nuggets to me are the best team right now in the playoffs. They're the deepest team. They got Jokic, who is, of course,
the best player in the
always,
playoffs so far.
Yeah, he is. I mean, besides him or Devin Booker, or Jimmy Butler, Jokic is in that conversation.
I don't know. I don't like what I'm seeing from Devin Booker.
Last game he struggled, but
not
that.
just the whole thing. It's like he's so efficient right now.
Yeah.
And that's not entirely sustainable, especially in the NBA playoffs when you're more contested, it's more physical. I got to see more playmaking ability from him and KD.
Yeah.
They got to get their teammates involved. They're not going to win 2v5. They got to figure it out. They look good in the 2 games in Phoenix, and they passed the ball more. Teammates were making their shots, and I think we all agree role players typically play better.
Oh, absolutely.
At home. So you'd expect the same with LA going into Game 6, but Phoenix has got a lot of work to do. I don't really care about the Knicks and the Heat. It's a whatever series. I hope the Heat win just so Spo gets to another Eastern Conference final. But whoever wins, they're not getting past the Sixers or the Celtics. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, that's fair. I think Miami, maybe just because they have Jimmy and Eric Spoelstra, maybe they could make it a tough series. But talent-wise, I mean, they're going to eventually run out of gas, right? Like, I would assume.
Well, they're not going to be able. They're like the Lakers
at this point.
You know, it's a smart team. It's a smart team, but what do you do when Maxey goes for 30 and Embiid goes for 30 and Harden only scores 17?
Right.
What do? Boston couldn't handle it. What the hell is Miami supposed to do with that? But again, never count out Miami. They play hard. Got to give them credit. We'll take a break. When we get back, we'll get to the Cam Sutton interview. We'll play back some of the interview on Ermanni and Edwards yesterday with Cam Sutton. What a guy. So well-spoken. What a professional. He's going to be an absolute stud here in Detroit. Very excited to hear back from Cam and so much more. But before we go, Jeff, our good friends over at Big Boy.
Well, Strawberry Fest is back at Big Boy. You can try classic breakfast items like some strawberry hotcakes or mouth-watering red velvet waffles. But if you're not feeling breakfast, you can check out their strawberry bacon chicken wrap or cool off with their refreshing summer splash salad. Try it all and more at Big Boy.
How would you like to win not one, but 2 vehicles of your choice? One for you and one for your wife, your girlfriend, or your best bud. Get to Lady Jane's today for an award-winning haircut and automatically enter for your chance to win. Courtesy of Les Stanford Buick GMC of Ferndale. Lady Jane's, open 7 days a week, walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Since the dawn of moving people, Chevrolet has led the way. The world of transportation is changing. At Feldman Chevrolet, we are leading the charge forward. With every electric vehicle, every mile traveled, one Feldman at a time. The company that puts more Chevys on Michigan roads is now the #1 name for Chevy electric vehicles.
We are the network for Detroit by Detroiters. Welcome to the Woodward Sports Network.
Show if you're watching at woodwardsports.com. Please be sure to check out everything else that we have going on our website, including clips from previous shows, previous live shows, articles, merchandise, and more. If you're watching at YouTube, like and subscribe. And if you're listening wherever you listen to your podcast, download and leave a 5-star review.
All right, I love it. It's 8:14, and now we get to get into the fun part of the show. We have the Cam Sutton interview that we'll discuss now. We have the Lions schedule coming up. Of course, week 1, they will be the first game of the season. In my lifetime, I don't recall the Lions ever being the first game of the season, so this is a first for me. Lions, Chiefs, week 1, Thursday Night Football. Absolutely can't wait. Why that plays into the Lions' advantage. We'll get to that in about 15 minutes, but we'll start with Cam Sutton. He was on the Ermanni and Edwards show with Maz yesterday. Very well spoken, professional, everything you want in an NFL player. He embodies it. The work ethic, the communication skills, ability, of course. He backed it up on the field last year, was a top 20 corner in the NFL. And we'll play back a little bit of the interview. Here's what he had to say yesterday while on Ermanni and Maz.
Talking to Cam Sutton, Lions, big-time free agent signing here. Wearing #1 for the Detroit Lions this year. Cam, what was your first conversation like with Dan Campbell? Can you describe it? Do you remember anything about it?
Yeah, man. It was high energy. You know, it was a little emotional. Because even then, it was more fresh coming out of free agency and getting around the guys, getting around the coaches and everybody. And we just share that same love, really, for life. It's not just about football. He's the same person, not just in the building, but out of the building as well. And that's very affectionate. It's very affectionate for the players and the people that are in his circle around him. And I think that's a big reason why that high energy is not a facade. That's not something that is put on or something that he just kind of turns on when he comes through the doors of the building. That's his nature. So it's easy to gravitate to that. We just shared our history, our little bit of kind of how we're connected. His time in the league, obviously my time in the league, and then just how we can take the next step here. How can we come together and just see what's best fit. Where do I assert myself at, and how do I stay behind the scene but still gel with everybody. It's not for me to come in and try to overpower my voice and just try to come in and lead and take over a situation. I watch these guys, study these guys, and that's the beauty in it. You show up and you create that continuity with each other. And it really takes it a long ways. We spend a lot of time in and out of the building. We've spent a lot of time so far, man. It's been cool. We have a great number of the guys here. So that tells a lot. Everybody's all in for what we want to do for the year. All in on just getting better, the craft and overall, and position to position. Guys are competing each and every day, hungry. For not just for themselves but for the guy next to them, and be ready to play some Detroit Lions football, baby.
I mean, what more do you want? Talking on Dan Campbell, the atmosphere, the positivity, the energy. Energy, a big word used really around Allen Park over the last few years. He hits on everything you've been pitched, everything you've been sold, everything that the Lions have been telling you. And you know what? To be fair to the Lions organization, it takes not guts, but damn it, you gotta give credit, even for the little things. Because sometimes maybe we don't appreciate the little things in life. That's where the gold is.
Yeah.
They told you, no, we're changing the culture. No, we're going to be more high energy. We're going to be more communicative. We're going to be more involved with our fan base. We're going to show more behind the scenes. We're going to bring all this energy, And you know what? After year one, it's hard, but you go into the offseason optimistic. It's the rebuild. You got your GM. And then year two, really Jekyll and Hyde. I mean, 1-6 start, 8-2 finish, but you got the fan base on board now. And Cam Sutton alludes to Dan Campbell's energy. Even if you don't totally buy into Dan Campbell as a coach, which I think is hard to do still, but I don't think you can call him a loser. I don't think you win 8 out of 10 games on accident in the NFL. I think there's something. What it is, I don't know. I won't lie to you. I don't.
Yeah.
But there's something, and Cam Sutton speaks on it very well. You got to give the Lions credit for at least having a plan, following through it, and hopefully that plan sees them have success, that we haven't seen in over 30 years.
And it's been, excuse me.
Oh, you're good.
I would say it's been momentum that's been building up. But you mentioned 8-2. I mean, you left last season on a primetime game in Green Bay, and now you followed up this year, even in the offseason. Brad Holmes and Dan have talked about what players they're looking for, what kind of players they want. And now that they've had money this offseason and they actually got to go out and sign free agents, you're seeing that come to fruition. Like Cam Sutton, if you watch that interview, yes, great football player, but great human being. And when he talked about Dan Campbell, the process and him sitting down with Dan, that he mentioned it wasn't just football. It was life. It was talking about what they look for, why they play the game, who do they play for, and those kind of things. That's why Dan, when you mentioned guys that have been players, and I think that gets kind of talked about a little too much sometimes, but with Dan, it really does matter. Because if you're a good coach and you were a former player, there's something you can relate to these guys that other coaches just simply can't. And what Dan's done over the last 2 years. Although it's been rough, especially the first season. To close how they closed last season, and now you get the news they're opening up against the Kansas City Chiefs. It feels like all the momentum is on their side. And when you got great human beings like Cam Sutton leading that room, a room that just last year was the worst part on this team, the secondary by far was the worst unit on this team. Cam Sutton going to be your number one corner this year. That's the type of guy you want in your building. He's a great human.
We've heard a lot of these rookies talk about how they leave their interviews with Campbell and they're emotional. And I think, part of it, maybe it's because they're rookies. They're going into the NFL. They had a great conversation. They think something's going to stick. But then you hear someone like Cam Sutton, who's a veteran, coming in, and he talks about how emotional he was from his interview with Campbell and from his conversation with Campbell. And I think it has a little bit more impact on the person that he is when it's somebody that's been in the NFL for an extended period of time, and one conversation was able to solidify that for him.
Yeah, I don't think anybody can question Dan Campbell in terms of his communication skills.
Absolutely.
I think that's one of his best traits. And you know what? I think I said this week 11 or week 12 of year 1. Season 1, when they were one of the worst teams in football. I said he at least has communication skills that remind me of like Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, like outgoing Pete Carroll, guys that just can communicate, man. They can talk their way out of any situation. And that can be a good thing, can be a bad thing. It doesn't guarantee success, but I wouldn't say guarantee, but what it likely leads to is good communication and relationships with your players, whether they stay or go. I don't think there will be many burned bridges here in Detroit, outside of the garbage players that don't play well and then leave and they're salty, but that's a whole different thing. To me, the whole camps.
I don't even think those players that are leaving are saying anything negative about Detroit or the situation that they're coming from, because they're going into a good situation. We saw that with both of the recent trades, and they're still positive, even though they have a right to be a little bit negative.
Yeah, and that's not just to her point, too, with Brad Holmes sending players. I mean, DeAndre, Jeff Okudah. You keep bringing up guys. Matthew Stafford, for example, going to his preferred destination. I know Carolina, that was a deal everyone talked about, but he wanted to go play for Sean McVay. He got to do that. DeAndre's from Philly, got to play in Philly. Jeff Okudah's preferred destination was Atlanta. He got to go to Atlanta. So not just with Dan, him being honest with players. If you watch Hard Knocks, even the episode where it was cut day, and they had to release a lot of players, like, Dan's honesty and communication is one of his best traits, but same with Brad Holmes. Like, they're allowing players, and players now the Lions are putting players on notice that they're all for players. As in previous regimes like Matt Patricia, it was pretty much the opposite. And players didn't want to go play for Matt Patricia. Now with Dan, it's a little different. So Lions, for the first time in quite some time, are becoming an attractive organization to free agents. And you're seeing guys like Dan, Aaron Glenn, guys that have played the game. That's attractive to guys like Cam Sutton, who would have gotten money anywhere, but he chose to come to Detroit.
Flannel Cam Sutton, his interview went well. You were on the show for it yesterday. I mean, my goodness, what a well-spoken individual, no?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the thing about Cam Sutton is he may well end up being the prize of free agency. It could either be him, it could be C.J. Gardner-Johnson, it could be David Montgomery. I think it's going to be one of those three. And with Cam Sutton, you obviously have who you hope is your number one corner, the guy that can really bother a Justin Jefferson, for example. And the thing, too, that struck me is cornerbacks sort of have this reputation for being, I don't know, kind of cocky. Some of them being like DBs, like not defensive backs, but like the other acronym for DBs, like Jalen Ramsey, for example. A guy like Josh Norman when he was on the Panthers, Deion Sanders, Jair Alexander hitting the gritty right next to Justin Jefferson and doing an interview in that ridiculous hat. It's clear that this organization values not having turds on the team. I'm not saying that any of those other guys I previously mentioned are. It's just that I was struck by how humble and down to earth that Cam Sutton seemed. I mean, I know to be a defensive back, to be on that island all by yourself out there, you have to have that kind of mentality to be a little bit crazy, but Cam Sutton didn't strike me as that at all. And if he goes out and plays well and embraces the city, he could be one of the most beloved figures on this team. He's that good of a dude, at least what I saw in that interview.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about what Cam Sutton's doing after practice. Like, you know the guy loves football. You know he's a professional. And to kind of, I knew what you meant. Maybe not turd, but they want professionals, guys that take the game seriously, and guys that you can just trust simply on and off the field. And Cam Sutton's definitely one of those guys. And Cam Sutton, Emmanuel Mosley, like these guys, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, all from good organizations. Like they're bringing in veterans to a young team that know how to take care of themselves and how to approach the game the right way.
You know, me and Flannel had a conversation yesterday, and along with Gabby, and I used an analogy for our Mount Rushmore conversation with NBA players. And I said, imagine you're standing on top of a cliff and you got to speak to all these people, but you blind them like in Men in Black. You blind them all.
Yep.
They all forget their memory. That nobody knows anything about the sport. Well, if I were to do the same for the Lions football team, but all you knew was their history, you wouldn't correlate free agents, not just free agent signings, like quality free agency signings. 3 consecutive, well, I'll say 2 consecutive really good draft classes. The third we think is going to be really good, and you trust Brad Holmes to obviously not mess it up. So they haven't proven anything for me to say 3, but there's a good feeling, I think, within the room. This is going to be a 3rd consecutive home run draft class, especially given the players he got.
Right.
You're going to explain it the same way, and people are going to be like, man, that sounds like a good football team. Oh, the head coach is a really good communicator? That's good. Oh, they got one of the best offensive coordinators in the NFL? Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Defensive coordinator, unproven, but he has a lot to work with this year, more than he did the last 2 years. Okay. I'm curious. You're making me think a little bit. You just forget their history and look at the football team.
Yeah.
And it's coming from me. Like, forget their history and look at the football team you have right now.
And look what kind of players they're drafting. They have all the traits they look for in players. And over the last 3 years, I mean, we assume this class will be another great draft class. What Brad's done, as opposed to in Lions history, is he has a philosophy. He has a way how he approaches the draft, and it works. So that's why when we say trust Brad Holmes until proven otherwise, there's truth to that. Because in former regimes, there'd be a draft and you'd let it play out, and typically 95% of the draft class just would not work out. With Brad's philosophy and how they're approaching it, there's success behind it. So he's given us a reason to buy in. So to your point, it's forget the history. Just look at the last 3 years. Brad and Dan, they're building something in Detroit.
And then you're going to put Cam Sutton in a locker room with those rookies. And from that interview, I'm 100% convinced that putting him in there is only going to make all those individuals
Yeah, but
that
it's
much
not
better.
just him, to your point, though, because I can list off 8, 9, 10 players that are exactly like that.
But from that interview, I think we all got that confidence
100%.
within him seeing that guard
100%.
come down.
And there's going to be a time where they're drafting players that won't play right away because they have so much depth. You want guys to learn from players like Cam Sutton. They have veterans at every position that you can at least Amon-Ra at wide receiver, Cam Sutton, Alex Anzalone at linebacker. Veterans that you can trust when you bring in rookies. Hey, go talk to Cam Sutton. Hey, go talk to Amon-Ra St. Brown. Those are the guys you want to learn from, no doubt about it.
All right, look, before we get to this Hendon Hooker conversation, I want to get to week 1. Kansas City, prime time, Thursday night football, week 1. We got to talk about it.
Super
We'll do
Bowl
that
champs.
next. But before we do, Jeff, our good friends over at Swiss Insurance.
Well, we're talking about the draft class. Let me ask you a question. Do you like the GM? Do you think Brad Holmes is doing a good job? Do you like the way he approaches the draft? Well, how about you be a boss like Brad Holmes and take control of your own insurance options? Draft a company that will give you the most cost-effective plan and protect you like the Lions' offensive line. Email Swiss Insurance today, mark@swissins.com. That's mark@swissins.com, or go to www.swissins.com for more information.
By now you know me, Christina Gennari, as the obvious choice in real estate. And you know my website, soldchristina.com, as your #1 resource for buying or selling your home. Myself, along with my amazing staff, pride ourselves on making your home buying and selling experience a relaxing and easy one. Come see why we are the obvious choice. Christina Gennari at soldchristina.com, the obvious choice in real estate.
We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side.
Lemieux and McCarty, who've had a good knockdown drag up. There they go, right on the whistle. They were talking to one another.
Woodward Sports.
All right, right, we're back here on the Morning Woodward Show live, woodwardsports.com. If you're missing the show live, you can always download the podcast after the fact, wherever you listen to podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. I don't know where the hell you guys listen to your stuff. Leave me alone. Don't ask me where. Just make sure you leave a 5-star review, because Jeff apparently lost his girlfriend and Gabby while she has blonde hair. And that's all the reason enough that you need to know.
Even though you can't see it when you're listening. It's still there.
Oh, God. All right. Chiefs, Lions, week 1. I mean, woo. Wow. That probably my first reaction. Wow. Yeah. So excited. That is amazing. You want to talk about the pros of it? Your prime time. It's the first game of the year. All the hype is going to be around that game. Defending Super Bowl champs. You get to go out and just let it go. Week 1 in Arrowhead. And here are the cons.
Now I was going to say, now let's get to the cons.
Andy Reid in September. Fuck my life. Patrick Mahomes in September. Fuck my life. Andy Reid, in general, in September is a problem because, well, they let everything loose, and you're not really prepared. It's a new scheme. Not that it's a new scheme, but they got new plays drawn up. They have ways to attack you, but that's actually a pro for Detroit. And I think the pros really favor Detroit in this situation. They have no pressure here. They're not the defending Super Bowl champs. They don't have a ring ceremony. It's not a home game for them. And you already went into the schedule before you even knew when they were playing, thinking like, yeah, it's probably a loss. It's probably a loss. We're away to Arrowhead. Scratch it. Right. But now it's the first game of the year. You have Ben Johnson as your offensive coordinator. You got Dan Campbell really encouraging and empowering him to really take control of this offense. And what's going to happen is you're going to catch Kansas City off guard defensively. They already lost, I believe, Frank Clark this offseason. They're going to make shift and rework their team and their defense. And their defense will probably start to peak around week 10, week 11, like they did last year. But to start the year, Kansas City's going to give up 26, 27, 28 a game.
Right.
And the Lions are going to be there to take full advantage of it. I actually think it's a very favorable matchup for Detroit.
And we know what happened last time Goff faced Mahomes. It was one of the best games in NFL history.
Yeah, we don't have to go that far. I mean, come on.
Now, but I'm just saying, it's facts. Now, last time Goff faced Mahomes, it was one of the most electric games in NFL history. But this is a big test for the defense. That's what I'm looking forward to seeing. I mean, the offense is majority the same. Yes, you're not going to have Jameson Williams the first 6 games, which is upsetting. You have David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, which, again, excited to see those guys. But the real test is defensively. You're on the road. You're in Arrowhead. You're facing Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, not to mention Travis Kelce, who I believe is the best tight end of all time. This secondary specifically, yes, the defensive line, yes, the linebacking core, but this secondary is, despite even the Chiefs losing Juju last year, got 900 yards, one of the most productive wide receivers. He's gone. He's with New England now. So I'm curious to see who steps up for the Chiefs with this new secondary. It's a big test. We just got done talking about Cam Sutton. This is a test. Super Bowl champs. Again, maybe you catch them in their first game off a hangover, but it's still the Chiefs in September with Andy Reid.
What's the sign of
terrifying.
A good coach? All right, and before I even get to the sign of a good coach, what was your Achilles heel last year at Detroit? Starting off 1-4, 1-6 eventually. That prevented you ultimately from getting to the playoffs. Mm-hmm. The good teams, the Mike Tomlin coach teams, the John Harbaugh coach teams, typically Sean McVay, Andy Reid coach teams, come out swinging in September. Not to say the Lions can't, but that is something they failed to do under Dan Campbell. In September, I believe his record is 1-7.
Yeah, it's not great.
And this year, it's got to be 2-2 at the worst, and you better have some good damn reasons, but 3-1 is going to be the expectation, and we don't know the schedule yet, so that'll dictate a lot of it, but still, you're going to be favored against every NFC North team, home and away, in my opinion. At least I think you should be. So I'm looking at the schedule. I'm looking at week 1 and saying, you know what? September matters more than ever. We talked about it yesterday, which is funny. Like, what's the ideal September look like? Well, now that you got Kansas City week 1, you can really send a message early on.
Oh, yeah.
Show your intent. And again, it's week 1. Yes, the Chiefs will have the same amount of time. They'll have the same creativity that you can expect from an Andy Reid football team, but you have that too. You have Ben Johnson. You're going to have the ability to catch the Chiefs off guard. A defense that's going to be learning how to play together. It's still very young. They started 10 rookies on defense last year. So, yeah, they're the defending Super Bowl champions, but They're vulnerable. They are vulnerable, especially early on in the year when their defense is not going to be probably as good as it's going to be by week 7, week 8, week 9. I love the matchup for the Lions. I absolutely love it. We definitely have to throw a party for this one. I mean, my goodness.
And if you look at the Lions' just road schedule in general, there's a lot of tough games on there. So this is why we talked about this whole offseason, the youth of the team. Will this affect him going forward? How much pressure can you trust this team to handle these expectations? Again, with Dan, you'd assume so. But, man, open the season up against the Chiefs. I don't care who they got at wide receiver. They can have Adam Baydoun. Yeah, I mean, you got Patrick Mahomes out there.
Don't sleep on me.
I mean, Adam will win a couple 50-50 balls at Patrick Mahomes. I mean, Sam Flannel.
You put me in for one game, I'll tie Jameson Williams' career mark.
Oh, my God. All right. Okay, I knew you'd take it somewhere.
Come on, I had to. It was an
I set
open
you up
shot.
for that one,
it was free. It was a free throw.
Yeah.
Come on.
But Sam Flannel, I mean, let's be real here. You're Patrick Mahomes. Me and you, we argued last year about him still being the number one quarterback. What are your thoughts right now? I mean, how terrifying should Lions fans be right now facing Mahomes week 1?
Well, I don't know if there's any scenario where it's terrifying, because the Lions could conceivably lose week 1 and even not look great, and it's still house money at this point, because let's not get it twisted. Arrowhead, when the Chiefs are bad, is one of the toughest places to play in the NFL. And this is not Arrowhead when the Chiefs are bad. This is, I'm not overstating this, one of the toughest road challenges to open a season ever. You've got the Kansas City Chiefs in a stretch of winning and dominance, which is one of the best in NFL history. 5 AFC Championship appearances, 2 Super Bowl wins, another Super Bowl appearance and a loss. And you're playing them at night on the road in week 1 when they're having their Super Bowl ceremony, basically. This should be a coronation for the Kansas City Chiefs. But on the other hand, that's a lot of emotion going into that game for the Chiefs. I could see the Lions sneaking up on them and maybe at least making this a game. And if it's close late, who the hell knows? I actually think the Lions getting their toughest game out of the way, week 1, over and done with, in a sort of a weird circumstance where it's Thursday, early game, first game of the season, I think that could work to the Lions' advantage. I think it is a much more favorable matchup than maybe playing them randomly week 12 at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I really think that the Lions can at the very least make this close. And if they win, if the Lions go into Arrowhead and beat the dominant Kansas City Chiefs, just imagine how on fire this city would be. Just imagine how those expectations would just grow exponentially. But on the other hand, you're kind of playing with house money. I'm really looking forward to this matchup. I think it's going to be a good one.
I mean, last year they got the best team in the NFC in week 1. And although the game wasn't necessarily as close as maybe the final score predicted, you're right about that, Sam. It's different for the Chiefs. This is just another Thursday night game for those guys. They played in a ton of primetime games, and you saw last year what the Lions looked like in Green Bay in primetime for one of the biggest games of the entire year. Everyone showed up, even though they had one of the youngest defenses and just overall a young roster. They still showed up and they beat Aaron Rodgers. But this is different. It's the Kansas City Chiefs. These are the Super Bowl champions in Arrowhead. It's a different environment, but it's a hell of a test. And it's a good measuring stick to see where they stand this season, because we talk about expectations. If you go in and at least battle with the Chiefs, I mean, even if you lose and it's close, you're still going to get a ton of respect. Not trying to, pat them on the shoulder already. You want to go out and win, of course. But regardless, I mean, the Lions just can't get blown out. I think that's the number one thing, because the Chiefs, no doubt about it, Patrick Mahomes, we know what he can do. Andy Reid.
Here's the problem.
It's a good test for this roster, a young roster.
I gave you all the pros, and you guys have added to it, and that's great and all. Last I checked, Patrick Mahomes has only lost a handful of games at Arrowhead.
I mean, yeah, it's
literally a handful.
It's not.
It's tough. It's September. It's Andy Reid. He's going to throw things at you that you haven't seen probably in 3, 4, 5 years. God knows how far back he'll go. And who God knows what he'll create. But I think you have that, maybe not at the same level, but I think there's an advantage, Flannel, with Ben Johnson early on. I think that's what you need to see this year. And you kind of did last year with, I mean, my goodness, they're putting up 35 a game, top 3 offense in the NFL at the time, number 1 in most categories to start the year, but they were 1-3. And yeah, it was the defense that let them down to an extent, and Jared Goff untimely turnovers, and of course Dan Campbell coaching decisions. But hey, you expect the offense to come out swinging week 1, even without Jameson Williams. That has to be an advantage. And if the defense is 50% better than it was last year, 3-1's a real possibility, and I think they have a chance at least in Arrowhead. I really believe that.
And you'd rather, I mean, let's be real here. If you had a preference to play the Chiefs week 1 or week, 13, I think we'd all agree you'd want to play in week 1, coming off a Super Bowl win. Like, that's just me, but who knows? Maybe you'd rather play them late in the season. I wouldn't. Because by that time, now Patrick Mahomes knows who he can trust and who he can on his wide receiver core, and they're going to be clicking. Same with the Lions, but I'll take them week 1 if I had a preference. I mean, especially in Arrowhead, it's a tough place to play regardless, so you'd rather face them right off the bat.
These rookies
just get it
are
out the way.
Walk into Arrowhead for their first NFL game on Thursday night. Prime
They'll
time.
be fine.
I just think that, what a way to start.
I mean, typically the Thursday night openers, I know during the season Thursday night kind of sucks, and based on the leaks that are being reported, the Lions will have 3, Thanksgiving, Green Bay week 4, and then KC week 1. But the week 1 primetime NFL opening kickoff game is typically a shootout. I mean, we've seen the Bucks Cowboys a few years ago. Rams Bills was eventful. They're always good, man. They're always really good games, so you got to enjoy them. Kansas City, Detroit is going to be excellent. When we get back, Hendon Hooker. Dan Campbell had some interesting comments on the rookie's future, what the quarterback position looks like in the future, and how, quote, they just don't know. And there's no timetable on when the actual franchise quarterback will be announced. What it means about Jared Goff, Hendon Hooker we'll get to next. But before we go, I got to tell you about my good friends over at Planet Fitness, and they are thrilled to announce that all high schoolers aged 14 to 19 in the United States and Canada, including you Canadians, you're welcome, are welcome to work out for free all summer long, May 15th through August 31st. That's right, starting in 4 days. If you're between 14 and 19, you have a kid, or you're listening to the show and you're a young teenager and you're not feeling great about your body, get your ass to the gym. It's absolutely free. You'll thank me later. Your fitness is essential. PlanetFitness.com, or check out one of their many Metro Detroit or North American locations for that matter. We'll be right back.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
Get a shot up. This is for the win.
All of Detroit's sports teams live on Woodward. All of Detroit's sports coverage lives on Woodward Sports. Driving the best in Detroit sports coverage.
The Morning Woodward Show at woodwardsports.com. If you're watching on the website, check out everything else that we have on there, from articles to clips to previous shows to merchandise. And be sure to tune in at 11 o'clock for Big D Energy, 2 o'clock for Ermanni and Edwards with Maz, and 5 o'clock to see the heavyweights. And follow us on all social media at Woodward Sports.
Not to get off topic,
Right.
but, unfortunately, because there's nothing good about this situation, but unfortunately, Jalen Carter was officially sued yesterday and named as one of the individuals of interest on a lawsuit dating back to the accident back in January. Now, I'm 99% sure NFL teams knew about this prior to the draft. I think they knew this would eventually come.
The timeline is too close for them to have
I
not
think
known
they
about
knew.
it.
So I think Philadelphia drafted him knowing this was probably going to come up. But this is why you don't draft Jalen Carter. And again, he hasn't played it down in football, right? I know you give me all the reasons why it's too early, but my goodness, what a headache this would have been in this town. You think it's bad that fans are reacting the way they are to Jameson Williams? Imagine taking a kid 6th, or you trade back to 9, or whatever it was overall, to take Jalen Carter. And before you knew you were playing the Chiefs, oh wait, he's getting sued for $40 million. That's a great start to a career. Not ideal, would you say?
No, not ideal. You know what? It's not ideal either. Did you see that video Jalen Carter posted of him and all his Georgia teammates in the car? All the teammates that got drafted to Philly, I believe it was Jordan Davis, Keely Ringo, and Nolan Smith. It's like, dude, listen. Just stay off social media. Like, it's not that hard. Just disappear. play football.
Oh, he'll disappear on the field. Don't worry.
Because the stuff that you're seeing more and more about Jalen Carter, even on social media, it's like, dude, just stay off social media. It's not that complicated. I still think he's going to be a great player. I know it's a lot of distractions, and that's a good point because, again, you don't want these distractions. But the Eagles, a team that's favored to win the Super Bowl or get back to the Super Bowl, excuse me, they don't seem to mind it.
Today seems like a perfect day to smoke hookah, honestly. It's just perfect. You got the Jalen Carter news coming out. KC, Detroit, Week 1. I mean, my goodness. But let's talk about Hendon Hooker. Dan Campbell was on the Green Light podcast with Chris Long. Had a lot to say, but the quarterback comments he made were super interesting. Paraphrasing here. Essentially, there'll be a long time before we know who the who the franchise quarterback will be in Detroit. And this is my interpretation of it. I'm not going to read more into it than what I think it is. And Jeff Flannel, I know you both really love the Hendon Hooker pick, so I'd love to hear your feedback. But to me, this is, Jared Goff's our guy. There's nothing Hendon Hooker can do to change that, especially not only this season, but probably 2024. And the only way Jared Goff isn't our guy is if he plays out of it, or he costs us meaningful games, and we just don't trust him anymore. Like that's, to me, what I heard. What I heard is Jared Goff is your starting quarterback for the foreseeable future, and they have zero intention of seeing Hendon Hooker on the field unless it's an emergency, he's hurt, God forbid, they just want to rest people later on in the year and maybe they already clinched the seed. Who knows? To me, Jared Goff's the guy. From what Dan Campbell said, this guy's going to redshirt year 1. He's not even going to play. And year 2, we'll see if he needs to come into action. But the Lions aren't expecting it. To me, Dan Campbell made that very clear. Yeah,
even if Goff gets injured, I mean, it's going to be Sudfeld. I don't think Hendon is going in.
This year,
of course, yes. And I agree. Goff should be your quarterback. He hasn't done anything yet to lose that spot. So he's your starting quarterback this year. We know that. But there's a reason why they took Hendon. And I'll keep saying it. The upside, right? You don't know what Hendon can be. Nobody does. But if anyone's going to have the best idea, it's Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, especially Dan seeing him on a day-to-day basis. Mark Brunell being another one, just being with the quarterback. So, again, what are my expectations for Hendon Hooker? I think there's upside there. But, again, he's a third-round pick, a guy who is a first-round talent. So it's great value. But despite whatever happens, at least you got a pretty serviceable, pretty good backup quarterback. And at the very highest, he could be a potential franchise quarterback. And Dan, when he went on Chris Long's podcast, he talked about it like, hey, we like him a lot. And the age didn't even bother him. He's 25 years old, and that was the biggest knock on Hendon Hooker. Yes, the ACL injury, but Dan's like, no, I like the maturity. I actually appreciate the maturity he comes with being 25 years old. You watch how he handled himself at Tennessee. Brad talked about it. Dan talked about it. Handled himself like a true professional. I mean, even in the warm-ups.
Have you ever been in an open relationship?
No.
Where you and your partner are okay with each other seeing other people? You've never been in one of those?
Where is this going?
Just hear me out.
Okay. Have you?
That's not your concern right now.
Okay.
Let's worry about Hendon Hooker and Jared Goff, okay?
Right.
What's going on here is Jared Goff is Dan Campbell's first partner. And they have an open relationship. And it just so happens that in comes Hendon Hooker, Tennessee quarterback, coming off an injury. Draft stock fell because of it. And my goodness, does he got a cannon, throws the ball really well. You fall in love. It's like, hey, you go up to Jared Goff. Hey, honey, I'm seeing another person as well. Now, you're still my first and favorite.
Yep.
But I want to see what this tastes like. I want to see what this tastes like. All right? And you're going to taste it for the next year or 2.
Oh.
And once you've had enough of it, you'll know whether you want to replace your current favorite with your new toy. And you have time to do that.
So you're just vetting.
Horrible example, huh?
You know, it sounds like you're vetting your options a little bit.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
It's like, hey, you're the main chick, but also I'm gonna just see what Hendon is. And if I like it enough,
it's
maybe.
It's like having 4 wives. You know, the first one it meant something, and then after that you're like, fuck it, I just want to fuck as many people as I can. You know.
You know what that sounds like? It sounds like Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. That's what they're doing over with the 49ers.
I don't know what the hell they're doing.
Just drafting a bunch of quarterbacks and
it's working.
Open dating, and it's working.
Well, it's working.
So.
It's working. You know what? Speaking of NFC teams, by the way, well, what do we got on the rundown? At 9 o'clock, we'll get back to the Lions schedule and stuff, but I have 2 major concerns that if any of you have answers for, I would be shocked and impressed. Because I'm really curious what you guys think of these 2 teams. We'll get to that at 9 o'clock. But to wrap this up, he's He's their toy and nothing more.
But also, why would you put him in a position where he could potentially hurt himself more if you're not 100% sure if you want to go with him this season? Why would they do that? They're not going to
There's
do
no
that.
There's no need.
There's no reason.
There's no need. If Jared Goff misses 4 games, God forbid, which in his career he hasn't. He's been more than stable at the quarterback position his entire career.
Right, if tragedy strikes.
He misses a 2, 3, 4 week stretch. You'll be fine. You'll still make the playoffs. It may cost you the division if you can't win those games or split, but they're going to be fine. This is a very good football team. Like I said, I know it's hard to look past the history. 30 years without a division title. 30-plus years without a playoff win. I get it. I get it. You want to see it before you crown them. I get it. But I'm not crowning anybody here. This is a really good football team. Jared Goff's a good quarterback. He played really good down the stretch last year. If he gives you 70, 80% of what he gave you in that 10-game stretch over a 17-game period this year, you're winning 11, 12 games. Fair to say, guys?
Fair.
And then I find it very difficult for you to convince me that you're going to move off of Jared Goff for Hendon Hooker flannel unless you have another Patrick Mahomes on your hand like Kansas City did.
Yeah.
There's many ways that this Hendon Hooker thing can go. I think this idea that anybody thinks that Hendon Hooker is going to come right in and play, nobody is actually saying that. We all know that for now, Jared Goff is a great value. He had a phenomenal year, and it wouldn't shock me at all if he has a year just as good, if not better, or at the very worst, slightly below what he did this past season. And if he does that, the Lions are probably going to win. What Hendon Hooker is there for is if Jared Goff, when it comes to the end of his contract, when it comes to time to extend him, he wants to get paid. He wants that big deal, as he should. That's where you have to have the question of, do you want to give Jared Goff the bag? Do you have a guy in Hendon Hooker who you trust that can take over the reins so that you can pay more guys like the Penei Sewells and the Aiden Hutchinsons, the Amon-Ra St. Browns, and the like, keep that good roster going with a young quarterback who can step right in and take the job. We all know that there's a possibility that Jared Goff plays great. He gives, I wouldn't say a hometown discount, but he's able to negotiate a reasonable extension, plays well, is the future in Detroit. That is also possible. But you can't just leave that in limbo, so where your only options are pay Jared Goff or nothing. That's one of the reasons I'm happy with the Hendon Hooker pick.
Yeah, could this be, a situation where Hendon slides in a year? Who knows? We don't know, because none of us know what Hendon could be, but that's up to Hendon. He has an opportunity, and although we argued about this about a week or two ago about the whole leverage thing, right now I still believe there's some leverage, but to your point, we don't know what Hendon is. He could stink. So, but to your point, Sam, which I agree with, when it comes time to negotiate a contract with Goff, at least you'll have a better idea of what Hendon is in whatever your confidence level in him is. If they have no confidence, maybe they'll just sign Jared because they have no other option. But if you see something in Hendon, it alleviates some of that pressure to go ahead and sign Jared to whatever contract he so asks for. So I love the move. I do.
Ace says, why isn't anybody talking about Adrian Martinez? Well, to be fair, I don't imagine a fullback playing quarterback in the NFL, and that's what Adrian Martinez is going to be. At best, he'll be a fullback, gadget player. This guy is not a quarterback. He will never play quarterback in the NFL. He'll never win a starting NFL game. He'll never be a starter of any legitimate franchise.
Is he better than Nate Sudfeld?
He'll only get signed to start games if a team's trying to go 0-17. Just stop. Adrian Martinez.
Is that guy serious? Adrian Martinez never led Nebraska to a bowl game. It wasn't all his fault, but
Martinez.
That did happen.
Worse than Tim Tebow. Worse than Tim Tebow.
As an NFL quarterback? Well, probably. Although Tim Tebow was a terrible NFL quarterback.
Yeah, I don't have much expectations for Adrian Martinez. There's nothing there.
This is my favorite time of the year also because you have the draft and everybody, impossible to really give grades, but you're sharing your opinions on what you think of the players. And then we get to undrafted free agency period, right? Right after the draft. And everybody's like, watch out for this guy. Watch out. Like the undrafted free agents get more hype than the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th round picks. I swear to God. But I kind of get it because 16% of the NFL is undrafted free agents. Yeah. And there's typically some good players, Hall of Fame players. There's only ever really been a handful of them. I want to say Terrell Davis is one of them. Am I correct by saying that?
I think he was a late round draft pick, but I could be wrong.
I'm thinking of, am I right on that?
He was a 6th rounder.
Damn it.
Terrell Davis.
Who am I thinking of? Undrafted free agent. Ended up in the Hall of Fame. God damn it.
Kurt Warner, right? Wasn't Kurt Warner an undrafted free agent?
Well, he was.
Regardless. I think it is Kurt Warner, by the way.
He
think
was
might be
a
right.
Hall of Famer. I mean, Sam's right. But regardless, you're right about that. And I think part of that is people, if they're right about said undrafted free agent, they can brag. And if they're not right, no one remembers.
Yep.
So hey, I like who they brought up. They signed, though. Brandon Joseph, Mohamed Ibrahim. I like those signings a lot.
That's
But
great.
we'll see.
And I like your hair this morning.
Thank you.
Getting better.
Getting better.
When's the next time you're going to auction it up for grabs?
Oh, never. It's not happening. Michigan, I'm sorry, Sam.
Not week 1? Chiefs Lions?
Oh, no.
Friendly, if you were to give me a game prediction from now, way too early, who would you take?
For your hair.
Don't do this.
Come on.
For your hair.
It's I swear, look, it's
Okay.
May 11th. Look, I love everybody in the chat. Nobody
right.
will even remember this.
I will.
Nobody will remember
I'll
this.
say, all right, Chiefs at home. Give me Chiefs.
You conservative bitch.
Give me Chiefs.
All right, Flannel.
34.
Looking for the right answer here.
34-30 Chiefs. 34-30.
Flannel looking for a right answer here. Jeff is clearly wrong. It's not the answer the people want. Flannel Sam, are you here to deliver what the people are expecting?
No, the Chiefs are going to win that game,
Well, fuck you
obviously. I mean, I'm the biggest Patrick Mahomes slappy probably at the entire network. So
whose whose knob do you slob harder on? LeBron James or Patrick Mahomes?
Ooh, I would probably say Patrick Mahomes. At this
Wow,
point.
that is,
No, you're supposed to say I don't slob at any of these. He just accepted it.
Right into
It's
that
okay.
one,
he
Sam.
admits it, unlike some people I work with. Liars.
all
Bunch of
right.
liars around here. Flannel Sam, the only decent human and honest man in the fucking building at this point.
Lions fans are coming for my throat, but guys,
Working with a bunch of narcs over here.
it's week 1 against the Super Bowl champs. Right now, way too early prediction. Yeah,
You're a
I'm
Judas.
going to lean Chiefs here.
You're a Judas.
I think
You know that?
the Lions are going to be in that game, though. I don't think they get.
There's over 1,200 people here just disappointed in you.
I should have just lied. You know, Lions win this game. Sorry about that, guys.
I'm just giving you shit.
Lions win the game. They
I'm
blow
just
the Chiefs
joking.
out. No, I can't
joking.
wait for the game. It's gonna be exciting. I don't think the Lions get walked on. No way. I think they show up to play.
I think the Lions are past that point. The roster's too good.
Yeah.
And 2, when they were shit, yeah, they were getting blown out. The Philly game, the Cincinnati, all that stuff. Year 1, but I mean, year 2, were there any blowouts outside of Carolina?
No.
So it is what it is. I think you're pretty past that. I don't expect a blowout. I'd say at most Kansas City open up as 7.5-point favorites.
And they will. Yeah. At least.
What's your prediction, Adam?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, me.
How
I'm gonna
about
go.
you?
I'm gonna go.
Watch, you'll say Lions. Just
On the upset, yeah.
Oh, I know you would do
I think
that.
it's tricky, man. I think Ben Johnson's going to have a lot to offer week 1, and Kansas City's defense will not be ready for it. Give me the Lions 34-31 in the shootout.
Yeah, we both have a high-scoring game.
Oh,
Just, yeah.
whatever the over is, or whatever the number is over/under, I'm taking the over.
Yeah. Week 1, I would agree with you there.
Like, to
Two
me,
good
the Lions'
offenses.
defense will be more prepared week 1. I'm not saying it'll be perfect, but I think week 1 it's a much better defense than week 1 KC that's going to be moving parts around. They're going to be figuring it out. And yeah, look, it's the Chiefs. They're probably going to win. I don't think you're crazy, but I mean, my goodness, no better time to get the Chiefs than week 1. No better time. I know it's Andy Reid. I know it's September, but you got to look past that right now.
Right.
You got to look at what Ben Johnson can do in early September, week 1. Your defense is still trying to get a hold of each other. Everybody's still fresh. It's the first real game. Preseason doesn't even really count. If this was week 5, I have the Chiefs winning 34-26.
So you like that week 1 surprise
Oh, yeah. No,
factor.
it's
Yeah,
only
that's fair.
week 1 based.
Okay.
Any other point in the season? Fuck no. No chance. No chance.
Yeah. I agree with
That's
that.
what I think.
I agree with that.
All right, we'll take a break. When we get back, I have a question for all of you. I have a theory on the state of the NFC at the moment. We'll get to more of the week 1 conversation, the schedule release coming out later tonight. But the Eagles, the Niners, the Cowboys, if you want to include them in there, the Lions, and the Seahawks. Those are like the 5 that I think most agree on. And I have some concerns, and I would love your take, Jeff, and Flannel Sam's on if my concerns are correct. Or maybe I'm being too bullish. We'll get to that next, but before we do, I got to tell you about my good friends over at Cousins Maine Lobster. Scan the QR code, find out where their food trucks are going to be, and go treat yourself to my favorite: lobster tacos, clam chowder soup, and of course a side of tots if you're feeling a little bit heavy. You're trying to gain weight, get the side of the tots. You're trying to lose weight, probably just get the soup at this point, depending how fat you are. Anyways, cousinsmainelobster.com. Check out where the food trucks are. You'll thank me later. Fresh lobster, Cousins Maine Lobster.
Big Boy Strawberry Fest has officially arrived, and we're here to show you the very best flavors of the season. Satisfy your sweet tooth with our deep-fried vanilla Oreos, strawberry hot fudge cake, and a slice of our classic strawberry pie. But that's not all. Cool off on a refreshing summer splash salad, or savor the flavors of our chicken Caesar wrap and strawberry bacon chicken wrap. And for breakfast lovers, don't miss out on our strawberry hotcakes or our mouth-watering red velvet waffle. Strawberry Fest is something for everyone. Celebrate the sweet season with us at Big Boy.
We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side.
Lemieux and McCarty, who've had a good knockdown drag up. There they go, right on the whistle. Baby, talking to one another.
Woodward Sports.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show. If you're watching at woodwardsports.com, thanks for checking out the website. Also, be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube and download and leave a 5-star review wherever you listen to your podcasts. And follow us at Woodward Sports on all social media. Great clips going up all day, every day, and plenty of great content, especially from the interview yesterday.
I mean, my goodness. You know what this means, by the way? We're not going to have a Sunday pregame show to start. We're going to have to do a Thursday night pregame show. And then I don't know how, because I'm going to get really fucked up on Thursday night. And then we're going to have to do the show. And I'm going to smoke my ass off either way. So I'll be fucked up after that. And then I have to be somewhat coherent for Saturday's college football show. And depending on the results there, show up on Sunday and somehow do some work. So I think I'm going to take that weekend off. I think it's safer for everybody not to be next to me that weekend.
Well, I would, by default, be next to you that entire weekend.
Well, I feel bad for you.
Because we do the college football
show.
Yeah,
I feel bad for
we
you.
do the Sunday show.
I'm sorry.
So, yeah, it's
Anyways.
okay. I'm used to it.
Anyways. Let's enjoy ourselves a little bit. Let's talk about some, I don't want to say hypotheticals, but concerns. I have concerns. I think the Lions got a lot better. Flannel Sam, would you agree?
Yes.
Okay. Jeff, would you agree with that statement?
That I agree with that statement.
Okay. Gabby, would you agree?
Agree.
Excellent. We're off to a great start, everybody. The Eagles are the defending NFC champions. The Niners are the defending runner-ups. And they are clearly the two best teams in the NFC. But what if I were to tell you that I have zero faith in the Philadelphia Eagles to get back to the NFC Championship game this year? What if I told you that to me it's the Niners' conference to lose this year, and that the Lions are more than capable of at least getting to the divisional round this year with the team they have and with the state of the NFC that it's currently in? Because I look at the Eagles, I don't think they've done enough. I just don't. And yeah, you're bringing back Slay, and yes, he was a top 15, top 20 player last year, but you're a little old. You have unproven guys. Nakobe Dean did really nothing last year. Jordan Davis showed nothing last year. You're asking a lot. And now it's Jalen Carter added to the fold. Now it's Nolan Smith, another unproven player. Young added to the fold. I know the Eagles are great, but if you asked me to rank teams and how I feel about them right now, I got the Niners at 1. I like Seattle at 2, Detroit at 3, and Philly at 4. I really have doubts this year on Philly. Now, you guys tell me if I'm crazy or if I'm onto something.
Is this where I tell you you're crazy?
No, it's fine. You can tell me I'm crazy.
Well, my question, you said you have zero faith. Is that the word you used?
Yeah,
that
faith, confidence, yeah.
That the Eagles can get back.
I'm not buying into they've done enough to get back, even though the NFC is weak.
So let me ask you this. If you have the 49ers already booked in an NFC title game, I would assume. You think they're good enough to get back there. Then who's beating Philly? You'd assume the Lions.
I think Seattle can beat Philly. I think the Lions can beat Philly.
So
I think Philly's a more beatable team than San Francisco is, even not they have to rely on their second quarterback.
Wow. Okay. Yes. That was the next question.
Yes, because I have a proven track record with Kyle Shanahan. I think they're the most complete roster, arguably, in the NFL. That's what I think of the Niners.
I don't know about that one. I like the Eagles a lot. The point I agreed with is them losing Hargraves, replacing with Jordan Davis.
I think they lost a lot of experience, man.
They lost veterans, C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Now you're getting some rookies in there that are going to have to play snaps this year. Yes, that is part of it, but it's still Philly. Like,
I get it.
It's still Philly.
I believe Jalen Hurts finished second in MVP voting.
Of course.
Excellent offense. What they'll do at the running back position, how that'll work out.
And it's also the NFC. We talk how bad the NFC is.
I'm not worried about them winning 13, 14 games. That's not my concern here.
So you're worried
about...
My
concern is come playoff time, I don't think they're going to have the same defense they had last year. And I think teams are going to be able to at least play with them. It's going to be a different kind of season for the Eagles, in my opinion.
I think it'll be a little different, but, I mean, I don't know.
Look, all I'm saying is December last year, we went into December last year, I think there was 100% agreement here. The Eagles looked like one of the best teams in football.
Of course.
I think we're going to get to December this year.
And they're not going to be...
And they're going to have a really good record, but it doesn't match the statement of they look like one of the better teams in football.
You're not saying they're going to pull a Pittsburgh where they're undefeated and you're like, well, that
I
team's
think
a fraud.
this can be an 11-2 team. And you're going to be like, yeah, I have no idea how they're 11-2. They're
Really?
not that good. I swear to God.
I would say that Seattle could be one of those teams too. Let's say Seattle has a good
but
record.
you're not going
to
buy
start.
into Seattle because of their quarterback.
Of course.
That's a different reason.
Thank you. So Seattle, you're talking about Seattle could upset Philly.
I think Seattle and Detroit are more than capable of beating Philly in a one-off game. Absolutely.
Well, you could say Philly as a roster probably has the best 49ers.
I think the 49ers have the best
I would agree
roster.
with you there. Okay, Philly has an entire roster. We'll put them close second. But their quarterback situation is the best by far in the NFC. I mean...
Yes, that's true.
So,
and I think by a landslide. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair. So if you take those two things into consideration, I mean, Nick Sirianni, we'd assume he's a pretty good head coach.
My question is, can the Eagles do what the Chiefs have proven they can do, which is win with a young defense? That's my question.
Yeah.
That's my biggest problem.
Now, to win a Super Bowl,
I know Kansas City
question.
did it, and everybody, again, we're all follow the trends. That's life. You try to do what the really successful people are doing. But winning with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, like that combo alone, like that's approaching. If it hasn't approached, it's already there with like Dungy Manning, Belichick Brady, Walsh Montana. Like that is the level that Andy Reid and Mahomes operate at. Now, you're not saying that about Sirianni and Jalen Hurts.
Of course.
So, like, yeah, the Chiefs won with a young defense, but they're the fucking exception, man. They are the class of the NFL right now. I need to see it from Philly, and I don't think I'm going to see it. Flannel?
That's a tough one. I do think the losses of C.J. Gardner-Johnson, T.J. Edwards, and Javon Hargraves, those aren't nothing, and even Miles Sanders in the backfield, although I think Miles Sanders is closer to being a replacement-level running back, running behind the best offensive line in the NFL. I get all of that. But, look at who they still have. Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Slay and Bradbury at the corner positions. You've got Hassan Reddick, Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, and a lot of it though does depend on how the rookies perform. I mean, you talk about the Chiefs. One of the reasons why the Chiefs have been able to sustain success is Brett Veach pretty much hit on 7 draft picks last year. 3 in the secondary, Leo Chenal, George Karlaftis, you got Isaiah Pacheco, and even Sky Moore to an extent.
Don't forget Trent McDuffie.
Trent McDuffie, yeah. Yep. I said 3 DBs.
I know what you meant. Don't worry.
Trent McDuffie.
Anybody gives you shit in the chat, I'll find their address and I'll kill them.
I appreciate that. But that defense also had like a Chris Jones, for example, and Frank Clark, who's no longer there. I don't know. I don't know if the Eagles will necessarily be as formidable. But
let me paint a different picture then.
Go ahead.
Okay, I give you all those small problems that I think are problems, and then I compound that on with you lost your offensive and defensive coordinator, and that Jalen Hurts lost Shane Steichen, and I'm not saying he's going to regress, but typically, statistically, but in NFL history,
right,
when you lose your offensive coordinator, the next year, if you're one of the great quarterbacks, you have a good season, but it's never as good as your best season with the prior one.
Example, Josh Allen without Dable.
Thank you.
Still had it.
Right?
It
was a
the same
good statistical year, but he was turning the ball over too much, too many mistakes.
Fair.
He ran more than he probably should have. I look at Philly, and I think they have holes, man. I think they have holes. Offensive and defensive coordinator. Look, you don't doubt good organizations that have had people get hired. I think they'll be able to replace them. I just think, can they figure it out by January? I'm going to put my money on that they don't. That's where I'm at. I think you have a coaching issue. It's not really an issue, but, a dilemma. You have a younger roster that needs to still learn how to play at the intensity level that Hassan Reddick can play at, that Jalen Hurts can play at, that A.J. Brown can play at, that all these guys know how to play at. Can these younger guys get there? The Chiefs got there. They proved it, and you're absolutely right. Karlaftis, Chanel, McDuffie, they got there. Eventually, they got there. But they have Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. It's kind of not fucking fair, right? I don't think we're looking at Sirianni and Hurts that way either.
Not right now.
No, and you're not even doing it with Zach Taylor and Burrow, and Burrow's the second best quarterback in the NFL.
Not comparing him to Andy Reid or Mahomes.
You just can't.
What I'm saying is at least those two together, we'll see this year without those two offensive and defensive coordinators.
And
they lost.
Slay might retire by week 4, because Matt Patricia probably calls him out again, and he walks out. Who knows? We don't know any of this.
Now, the question, and I'm going to keep going back to it, although, you can say that. You can say, I don't see Philly getting back. The only
I have questions. They're not definitive statements here. These are the questions I have that I conclude, I can see the Seahawks and the Lions easily upsetting Philly in the playoffs.
Wouldn't you agree that saying making the argument for Philly with your now young players having to play more significant snaps, there's some concern, but then you bring up Seattle and the Lions, which last year had one of the younger rosters.
There's a difference.
So
one has Super Bowl expectations, the other are just trying to get to the playoffs, one trying to just win the division. There's a different level of expectation. When you get to the divisional round and you're Philly and you have your young core, I got to play well today. If I don't play well, I might cost all these guys, that Brandon Graham and some of the older guys on this team, they might not be back next year. This might be their second to last season. I got to play well. There's a lot of pressure on young people, especially come playoff time. And like I said, the Chiefs pulled it off, but they're the Chiefs, man. They're the exception in the NFL.
They are the anomaly.
Can the Eagles do it? I question it. I think Seattle, I think the Niners, and I think the Lions can have their way and upset the Philadelphia Eagles this year.
So
I can
to put
totally
it simply,
see it.
do you think Philadelphia hit their ceiling last year?
No, because I think they can get better. That's
Oh
the
my
problem.
God.
Wait, no.
What?
Wait.
What?
Wait. Did you not listen to anything I said?
I did.
They're young. Does that mean they can't get better in the next 2-3 years? I don't think they've hit a ceiling. I think they can win a Super Bowl in the next 4 years? Yeah, I do.
Then you gotta if you made that bed, you better sleep in it.
It's not.
What side are you on?
They're two different things.
I'm just trying to figure out where you're going with
this
argument.
season.
Or
For
is there
this
not?
season,
Okay.
I have concerns about the Philadelphia Eagles. Yes. Do I think they'll reach the Super Bowl this season? No, I don't.
Okay, there you go.
But you're saying
in the
2
next
to
4
3.
years, do I think they can't get back to a Super Bowl? Of course they can. Of course they can.
But
for this year, they're younger. They've lost core pieces, and I'm questioning the assets they're missing.
But could I say they have the best chance now because Jalen Hurts' contract's kicking in soon?
But they didn't replace all their star players like Javon Hargraves with interior amazing players in free agency.
Known
they
commodities.
drafted Jordan Davis
young
and
players.
Jalen Carter.
Yeah, it's young
and they
players.
both have 0 sacks. So again, by week 10 they could change my mind, and all the young players are playing out of their mind.
But right
now I'm questioning it. Absolutely.
That's fine. All right.
Flano, am I off here?
In a bad NFC, I'm not questioning.
No, actually, Adam, this is why I vibe with you in a lot of ways, because people want people to just die on certain hills and never get off of them when new information presents itself. I mean, I get where you're saying.
I just don't want him to answer like a politician.
I'm not. There's a big difference between, do I think they've reached their ceiling? No, because that would be unfair. That would be like me saying Joe Burrow's reached his ceiling. A guy that got to the Super Bowl, lost, and he'll never get back there again. I think Burrow's capable of getting back. I think Jalen Hurts is getting back. But do I think this Philadelphia Eagles roster this year is as good as they're going to be or were last year? No way. No way. I have so many questions. They've lost their offensive and defensive coordinator. I think this year you're going to see Philly go out in the divisional round. I don't see them getting to an NFC championship game. I just don't.
Here's what can put them over the top. If those Georgia players, we still don't know what they really have in Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean. If at least 3 of the guys, like the Jalen Carters, Nolan Smiths, Keely Ringos, Jordan Davis, and Nakobe Dean, if 2 or 3 of those hit, then maybe those could be the pieces that can help put them over the top. But so far, like we said, Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean didn't really have to do anything last year on that loaded defense. This year, they're going to be expected to actually contribute. We'll see
Just
if they can
remember,
play.
Philly almost set the NFL record, or maybe they did last year, for sacks in a single season. They were one of the best defenses in the NFL. Are they still going to be a good defense? Yes. Are they going to be great again? No.
Not that level.
No, exactly.
Even if they're not that level, they're still
Well, you
pretty
haven't
damn
seen them,
good.
and that's why I ask questions. You have not seen them with a good defense. You've only seen them be who they are with a great defense. I don't think they can be great again on defense next year. And look, not to put pressure on Jalen Hurts, but he's going to have to win football games in a different way next year. Ways that we've seen Burrow do it, Mahomes do it a lot over the last few years. Now Hurts is going to have to experience I got to make 3-4 more extra plays now a game that I maybe didn't have to last year. And that's why I ask the questions I do. Again, does that mean Philly are a bad team or they're not going to win?
No, I don't think you're saying that.
But to act like because I have less confidence in them this year than last year, that means they can't get back to a Super Bowl in the next 4 years? No, it's ridiculous.
You
That's
just
their
think
window.
this year, no way, no how. They're not making an NFC Championship game.
It's not no way, no how. Anything can happen.
You
but
have
what
to
I'm saying,
see it.
But what I'm saying
Okay.
is I don't have the confidence that you would have last year by saying book Philly in the NFC Championship game preseason, which you did.
I did, yes.
I have that confidence with the Niners, but I think after that it's a toss-up because I think Seattle can beat Philly. I think the Lions can beat Philly. And Dallas, on a good day, maybe they can beat Philly. Can Philly still go out and shut everyone up? Yeah, they can.
And even
But I have a lot of questions that need to be answered before I'm going to go out there and say, yeah, book Philly in the NFC title game easily.
And even Dallas, they gave the 49ers a run for their money. We forgetting that playoff game? I mean, Dak didn't play great, but that was close. Almost took down the 49ers with Brock Purdy, and they were undefeated up until that point. So we'll see. I think the health of Brock Purdy obviously matters, but the 49ers and Eagles, to me, they're still the two best teams.
How does Nick Sirianni compensate for losing his offensive and defensive coordinator?
And we shall see.
I've seen Kyle Shanahan do it year after year. He lost Robert Saleh. He's now lost D'Amico Ryans. And in 2 years, he's going to have another defensive coordinator putting out top 10 defenses. I don't have questions about San Francisco. Now, if Purdy goes down and they have nothing, literally nothing, and it's that Johnson kid again, yeah, that's going to stop San Francisco. They're fucked. There's nothing you can do about that. But if I get 60% of the quarterback play that Purdy gave them, they're going to win 12, 13 games. That's just how talented they are. That's how well coached they are. I can't wait to see Philly.
Watch out for the Cowboys with Mike McCarthy calling plays.
Oh, wow. I've never been so excited in my life. Yeehaw!
Yeah, they're winning that
Here we
division.
go. Here we go. We'll take a break. When we get back, we'll get back to the Cam Sutton interview from yesterday. We have another soundbite to play for all of you. We'll react to that. We'll talk more about the Lions coming up next. But before we go, Jeff, our good friends over at... Oh, no, Gabby.
Yeah.
Our good friends over at Cintron.
Yeah, because Cintron is the official energy drink of the Detroit Red Wings. And right now, if you go to drinkcintron.com/Woodward, you can get yourself a variety 6-pack for just $15 plus free shipping. Try out the classic sugar-free and cranberry. Great energy drink that does not give you the jitters, has no preservatives, no added sugars in there. That is drinkcintron.com/Woodward.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids, all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
Woodward Avenue, the first paved road in America. Woodward Sports, the first sports network born in Detroit and made for Detroit.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show at woodwardsports.com. If you're watching on the website, check out our clips and other live shows from episodes past. And if you're watching or listening via podcast, be sure to download and leave a 5-star review and follow us on all social media platforms at Woodward Sports.
All right, we're back, and we're gonna get to yesterday's interview with Cam Sutton. Excellent interview. He was incredibly kind, well-spoken, and I'm very excited to see him on the football field, as most of you are as well. But, Alex, if you don't mind, let's play the second part of this interview. It's about 2 minutes long, guys. Here's Cam Sutton yesterday talking to Braylon Edwards, Ryan Ermanni, and Tom Mazzulla.
Cam, speaking of the guy next to him, speaking of that long-time bond, speaking of being there together, trying to figure out what's the key, talk about being reunited with your boy Emmanuel Mosley. Talk about what that's going to be. Yeah, and now you draft Hendon Hooker. This is about to be the Tennessee Volunteers up in here. Talk about how special it is to be reunited.
Jeremy here too. We got
Jeremy is
comes back too. Yeah. So, great guys, man. Obviously, it starts with the people. Yeah. You know, with anything you do, and that's not just the business that we're in. That's not just what we do. The full connection, the full of the growth or the development is the people, the type of people that you have into what you're doing. And you have again people who are asserting themselves, people who are hungry, people who are wanting more for themselves, and that's just the full attraction. I'm not here to just show up and work my couple hours and leave and just go on about my day and not be infectious to or not just have gotten better at anything for the day. That's not how I operate. And then obviously with the guys around you, you got them leading and pushing you. You want them pushing you in the right direction as well. And it's been good. It's been good to us. Me and E back in the day, played a lot of ball together in college. Seeing his evolution of growing from he was a quarterback, he played defense, obviously athlete, playing both sides of the ball, coming out of high school, all-star quarterback coming out of high school out of Dudley. And, seeing his transition to the defensive side, he was smaller in size. I think he probably came in probably like 150, 160, so just the evolution of, his game, evolution of his growth, from a person, from life, it's awesome to see. And then everything just, rewards itself full circle. So just being able to be blessed in this situation to play with those guys again, at different times in our lives and, coming around at different times, it's going to be nice.
All right. I mean, what more can I give you? Earlier on, he was talking about Dan Campbell, the high energy culture that's in the building, and how it's so infectious. He's talking about his past now with Emmanuel Mosley. They played at Tennessee together. Yeah. Look, you can take what you want from anything in life, guys. If you go into a debate, let's say last night you watched a certain open forum conversation on the news, you can go in there with an optimistic, open-minded mindset, or you could walk in there closed-minded, ready for hell. And you can do the same thing with an interview like this. You can walk into that Cam Sutton interview and say, well, he hasn't played it down to football, it doesn't matter, da-da-da-da. Okay, fine, you can be like that. That's fine. Or you can be what I think most of you should be, which is a top 20 corner in the NFL. Mm-hmm. I think he embodies everything you want in any defensive player, confidence, communication skills, very well spoken. I love the new look that the Lions are showing us. Again, they have to go out on the field still. They got to win games. Yeah, I know. It's May 11th. Fuck off. I have till literally August to worry about that shit, okay? But right now, I'm getting good people working on a good project that I believe will in turn deliver good results. I can't say anything more about the Lions and Cam Sutton right now.
Yeah, and like we said and we talked about, Cam Sutton, one of the best corners available. And he would have got money anywhere. And Ryan mentioned that in an interview. He would have got paid anywhere. He chose to come to Detroit with a 3-year deal. And the fact that he didn't waste no time, he knew what he wanted, Brad knew what he wanted, and Dan Campbell, and they went out and got Cam Sutton. He's the perfect veteran you want in a position group that not only was your weakness, but again, you're gonna have young guys that enter that room. You want them to learn from Cam Sutton. I mean, it's the easy route. So I'm excited to see Cam this year, man. Number one corner, someone you could actually depend on a week-to-week basis. It's going to be something different, Sam.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of all that, Cam Sutton is obviously the guy, either him or C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who you expect to be the best defensive back on this team. But that defensive backfield is loaded when you talk about at least competent NFL players. You got Cam Sutton, Emmanuel Mosley, C.J. Gardner-Johnson. All of them had... Well, Emmanuel Mosley was in a short sample size, but they all had great years last year. I mean, Cam Sutton and Emmanuel Mosley both allowed less than a 70 passer rating when targeted.
Those are the numbers.
Absolutely. And C.J. Gardner-Johnson tied for the NFL league lead in interceptions. And then to piggyback all that off with Tracy Walker returning. He was one of their best defensive players when he was healthy. Kirby Joseph was a rookie revelation, forcing 6 turnovers. And then you draft Brian Branch, who was one of the steals of the draft, if you ask me. I think if you ask everyone in this room. And just, I think that Cam Sutton is the perfect kind of guy to lead all of them and become one of the better secondaries in the NFC after the year before having games where you started guys like Will Harris, Jerry Jacobs, and Jeff Okudah. I mean, with all due respect to them, they upgraded majorly, and Cam Sutton could end up being the face of that.
And think about, too, no one's really talked about this, the division Cam Sutton played in terms of quarterback play. Who the Steelers had to go up against in their own division, Cam Sutton was their number 1 corner. Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson. And I know Deshaun Watson was bad last year, but just to give you an idea, what he did in the numbers Sam just laid out, those weren't against scrub quarterbacks. That was against a pretty good division. So, again, now he's going to the NFC North, the NFC specifically, who, in terms of quarterback play, just isn't that impressive. So for Cam Sutton, he's going to a situation where, again, one of the older guys in the room, he's only 28 years old, but this is the difference between bringing in a guy like Brian Branch into a young secondary and expecting him to kind of learn on his own for the most part, have a couple veterans, but you depend on him. Now, you have veterans already in place. Brian can be groomed, and you can take your time with Brian Branch. I mean, like you said, one of the best secondaries now in the NFC, in my opinion, and Brian Branch comes into a great situation, and whoever they draft in the future at corner, man, a lot of great veterans. I mean, even if they don't keep C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Brian Branch is waiting there in the wings, ready to go. So, very different situation from last year. I'll tell you that.
Fair enough.
Jeff Okudah was your best corner last year at this date.
Well, look, I'll tell you what. We got a few minutes before we have to transition, and I just want to touch on one more thing about not just Cam Sutton, but this Lions team in September. Kansas City is going to be a tough matchup. Patrick Mahomes in his last 3 openers, 11 touchdowns, no interceptions. Yep. I told you, Andy Reid in September is a fucking problem. But if you want to look at it from a pro standpoint, right, what advantages do the Lions have? Well, it's hard to say advantages because Andy Reid's on the other side and Patrick Mahomes. But what do we do well? Sometimes you have to focus on what you do well more so than what your opponent does because you can only control so much, especially when they're just that damn good on offense. So how do you combat an offense that can put up maybe 30 points on you? You score 31. And I think you have an advantage week 1, a young Kansas City defense that won't be in sync week 1 against a Ben Johnson coached offense. I like your chances. I like your chances. So we'll take a break. When we get back, Jeff is on. He's on suicide watch right now, and that hurts me to say, but there is a reality that Jeff will no longer be on the morning show if the Pistons don't land the number 1 overall draft pick. So Victor Wembanyama, Jeff, is it him or are you done with life? If the Pistons fall back a spot 2, maybe 3 or 4, fuck it. Who knows? We'll get to that next, but before we go, I got to tell you about my good friends over at Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. If you want a beautiful haircut like Jeff or myself, well, there's only one place to get it. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, open 10 to 8, 7 days a week, walk in anytime. No appointment necessary. Their awesome stylists will take care of you like they take care of me as always. So get to a Lady Jane's near you. Lady Jane's, it's wicked awesome.
The Sports Marketing Agency would not be who we are without great community partners like Higuera Health and Carol Zaniga.
It's an awesome opportunity to partner with your organization. Higuera Health is a comprehensive behavioral health organization. We serve children through older adults with mental health, substance use, and developmental disabilities across Western Wayne counties, and really excited to now be in downriver communities as well. Give us a call at 734-458-4601.
Get a shot up. This is for the win.
All of Detroit's sports teams live on Woodward. All of Detroit's sports coverage lives on Woodward Sports. Driving the best in Detroit sports coverage.
All right, we're back here on the Morning Woodward Show. If you haven't checked Delta, Spirit, wherever the hell you get your flight tickets from, well, you should be booking Arrowhead soon because, well, the Lions are opening up in Kansas City for the first game of the year. But, Jeff, let's pivot a little bit. The NBA Draft Lottery is coming up soon. I want to know from the man himself, is it Victor at 1 or you're done with with just life in general? I need to know from Jeff, like, what's the situation where you're like, I can't deal with this shit anymore?
I don't think it's the same as the NHL lottery. And we had this debate. Would you rather have Victor Wembanyama or Connor Bedard? We all agreed it was Connor Bedard. So I'm not going to say it's Victor Wembanyama or bust. Because there's a couple things that go into it. The lottery's in 5 days. It's approaching, and Woodward Pistons will have it all covered, so don't forget to stay tuned for that, because me, Kool-Aid, and Sean will have it all covered. Even if they don't have the number 1 overall pick, we'll still be locked in. This is a big one. They have a 14% chance at that number 1 overall pick, but also, so do Houston and San Antonio. So it's in the NBA lottery, if you look at the Pistons, at least in recent history, Cade getting the number 1 overall pick, that was great. But we got to prepare for sometimes the worst possible outcome. And because sometimes that's the reality. You have Troy Weaver, if he's told us anything, and again, people might not agree with this because I've seen a lot of Troy Weaver hate, but at least in the draft, he's done a good job identifying talent, at least top 5, top 7. I know he missed on Killian. You could bring that up, but Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, Jalen Duren, Sadiq Bey, even flipping him for Wiseman. He's done a pretty good job identifying talent. So if they don't get the number 1 overall pick, this is a deeper draft, and there's other guys that I like in this draft besides Victor. Again, would I prefer the number 1 overall pick? Of course. But this is Troy Weaver's job. Like, you can't just get the number 1 overall pick every year. So
Can I ask you something?
As a GM, he's going to have to find talent regardless. And again, I'm a Brandon Miller guy. I like Brandon Miller. There's other players I like. I don't think it's Victor or bust, but it, of course, would be upsetting to Pistons fans.
Can I ask you something?
What's up?
Victor Wembanyama's weight, his stature, his skinniness. Who does it remind you of? Anybody recent come to mind?
You said Victor Wembanyama, his skinniness.
How skinny he is.
I mean, I guess you'd bring up a build like Chet, a similar build.
Well, that's the player I wanted to use it for the example, so well done. I saw Chet Holmgren's hype video come out, I think yesterday or the day before. He's coming back. He's practicing in the gym. And I think he lost weight. And I have no idea how the fuck that's going to work in OKC, but, wishing him the best. But if there's, like, one legit concern I have, it's not if Victor can play. He can play.
Of course.
It's not ball here. But is he going to last in the NBA? Is he ever going to play more than 30 games in a single year? Like, to me, on the worst case scenario where his career doesn't pan out, you hope the Pistons get the number 3 pick. On the case that he ends up becoming like a Joel Embiid, but his own version, but I'm just comparing how fucking tall they are. But if he ends up becoming a top 10 player in the NBA, you hope you get the number 1 pick, right?
Right.
To me, that's the biggest problem. I don't doubt his game or how it translates. The biggest problem I have is how long is it going to take for him to develop into his body? Will he be given the time? And how injured will he become by the time he develops into it? Mm-hmm. Those are the major concerns for me.
And this is part of it, too. We've seen in NBA history, and I brought this up to Sam earlier in the week. And, Sam, I want your thoughts on this because although Victor, I would agree, he's a generational talent with what he can do, I think the health concerns is very valid. I mean, 82-game season, if you're putting a heavy workload on him, especially in the East, Giannis, Joel Embiid, he's going to be banging around with some bigger, muscular guys. Pause on that.
Yeah,
but it's very true.
You gotta slow down with this stuff.
For his size, it is a concern. But for every draft like this, where there's a consensus number 1 overall pick, Adam,
you gotta relax.
Okay, we'll get there. All right, but at least let me get the point across. There's Greg Oden, then there's Kevin Durant. Not saying there's a Kevin Durant, but in some instances, that number 1 overall pick, the obvious choice, sometimes isn't always obvious. Sam, am I wrong for that?
No, I mean, obviously, you're not wrong. There's never an obvious choice. But at least with Victor Wembanyama, you pray hard for that number 1 overall pick. And I think you should be disappointed if you don't get it because his ceiling is a basketball unicorn the likes of which we've never seen. I mean, it's just factual. 7'5", with guard skills, can shoot the 3.
Oh, it's intriguing.
It's 100% intriguing. I mean, you look at him as a guy who could one day be a top 5 player in the NBA if everything pans out the way that we hope that he would and he realizes his talent. Adam, you mentioned, and this would be just horrifying if this happened, worried, what if he never plays 30 games in a season? If he never plays 30 games in a season, he's the worst NBA draft pick ever. That's just factual. And I don't think the concerns of him getting hurt to that degree are that valid. From everything that I've heard and everything that I've seen, he does a very, very good job of taking care of his body. He's meticulous about it, and he should. He's going to get paid big time, and he has the talent to be one of the best players in the NBA. So if you're the Pistons, you hope that you get him. I think Scoot Henderson and Brandon Miller are solid, 2 great pieces at 2 and 3 if the Pistons fall. But Victor Wembanyama's the prize. But at the same time, there's an 86% chance you don't get him.
In a market like Detroit, at where they are right now, they're not where the Lions are in terms of now their organization is respected. Pistons have won, so there's the difference. But the Lions at least have an attractive aura, especially in free agency. Pistons aren't there yet, so if you can get the best player
but they have history,
on paper,
at least.
They do, but still, no one's... I want to come to the Detroit Pistons. Like, they won 17, 20 games.
Well, no one's ever said that.
Well,
but at least they have history.
Of course. But my point is, if you can get a guy like Victor, you have to. Like, you can't just go pluck these guys off in free agency.
Let me ask you this.
So the upside is much more intriguing than the potential downside.
Zion's not eligible for the Supermax, right? He hasn't made any All-NBAs or won any MVPs, so he doesn't qualify for that.
He's been
but
injured.
he can get a max contract, right?
Yes.
Okay, would you give him a max contract tomorrow? Because he's going into year 5 this year.
Zion? If I'm New Orleans, yes.
No, okay. Flannel?
He's been too good when he's been healthy. I mean, he's legitimately been an MVP level player for his career when healthy. The problem is I think he's played 113 games.
26, 7, and 4 when healthy.
It's absurd, on ridiculous efficiency.
He's played on an average 29 games a year.
Oh, God.
In a
and
market,
you're going to give him a max contract.
In a market like New Orleans, 100%.
That is the ultimate, probably, yeah.
Because you're New Orleans. Like, who... You're going to go get another Zion in free agency? No, you're not. And they got the number 1 pick because of the man above. Like, they had the 5th best odds or 6th. They were projected to have like the 6th pick. They jumped to 1. They got Zion. If you're New Orleans, of course you're signing him.
Yeah, I can't believe both of you are saying yes to this, to be honest with you. I can't believe it.
Oh, wow, okay.
29 games a year. Coming off, 29, 30 games this year?
Now, here's the problem with that.
Like,
because
I'm giving him a max to maybe play?
Here's the problem.
I'm not even getting... We make fun of Anthony Davis, call him street clothes. At least Anthony fucking Davis plays enough to make All-NBA teams and All-Star games.
Well, I'll tell you what. New Orleans AD wasn't necessarily the most healthiest, and what happened? They gave him what?
They
Anthony Davis...
They paid him.
Oh, whoa, no. We're not doing this right now.
He's not as unhealthy as Zion.
AD came out, played 64, 67, 68, 61, 75, 75! Come on, man!
In a market like New Orleans, you're paying Zion. You're not just letting him walk. Who are you getting?
I try to trade him.
Well, okay, now we're talking trade. Now we can have that conversation.
I would not sign him. I would rather trade him.
So I'll say, if you're just letting him walk, you're an idiot. If you're in New Orleans.
Well, I'm gonna let him walk because if I can't trade him, I'm letting him walk. I'm not giving him a fucking max contract to do what? He's never played. He averages 29 games played a year. What am I supposed to do? Hope he plays? I mean, look, I get it. When he's on the court, unbelievable. Mm-hmm. He's so fun to watch. He's never on the court. What do I do? What do I do? Honestly, I give him a max because he'll maybe get 29 games a year. Like, we make fun of Anthony fucking Davis all the time. And he played on average 60 games a year for his first 4, 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah, he was more healthy than Zion.
And he was giving you 25 and 12 a night. Zion's giving you 25 and 7, giving you 30 games a year on average. Mm-hmm. And we're going to give him a max contract.
It's not something that
I got nothing.
It's a tough situation. But if you're weighing the risk versus reward, if I'm New Orleans and I'm a market like New Orleans, I don't want to go backwards. Like, sometimes you're right. On paper, he don't play. I don't want to pay him. But you're going to have to convince the fans in New Orleans that you have something planned. Because if you're just going backwards without any plan, we'll just go find another Zion. Like, good luck.
Well, I don't want to find another Zion. I want to find another injury-prone potential star player.
Talent like Zion. Maybe not, being injured, but still, I would sign him.
I mean, what do you think of their coach?
If I'm New Orleans.
What do you think of their coach?
Willie Green?
Yeah.
Love Willie Green.
You love Willie Green.
He's a great coach.
42 and 40 this year, 36 and 36 last year.
Yeah.
I think he's done a good job with what he's had.
Yeah.
I think Brandon Ingram's game has developed, but I still don't think he's a 1. So, yeah, New Orleans still has a lot of work to do, especially in the Western Conference. And, yeah, you know what? Maybe you're right to an extent that losing Zion really hurts them. But what good does it do if they're giving him 40, 50 million a year and he's playing 20, 30 games? That's what kills me. I don't know. That blows my mind.
See, it's the risk because when he plays...
And that's what goes back to the Victor Wembanyama stuff. What if he walks into the NBA day one and fucks everybody? 24, 7, and 4 a night. Every night.
But he's just not healthy.
And then he plays 30 games year one and he has a fibula injury, or whatever the hell, the tissue on the bottom of your foot, whatever the hell they call it. Fasciitis, whatever the hell it is. Anyways. And then year 2, it's his back. And then year 3 is its knees. And then year 4, he's still averaging 27, 8, and 5 in his career.
Mm-hmm.
And after 4 years, he's played 115 games. Then what?
Well, if you're the Pistons and you have a good foundation of players you like, maybe you're not under as much pressure to re-sign him. But if Victor's all you got, yeah, I'm re-signing him. Like, I tend to look at this in a more realistic fashion. Like, I can't just say, well, I'm not signing Victor, screw that. Like, that's not how general managers think. You got to have some sort of backup plan if you're New Orleans or
so then
Detroit.
Try to trade him, but
so
I would rather trade him than give him a max.
If New Orleans feels comfortable with what they have without Zion, go ahead. Let him walk. But if you're not comfortable and you're still going to let him walk, good luck. Like, again, you'll save a lot of money. Well, Jeff, we'll have a lot more money in free agency. Good luck, New Orleans. Who are you spending it on? Is New Orleans LA? Is New Orleans New York? I'll give you a hint. No, it isn't. So to say, well, I'd rather have the money, good luck. I'd rather go at least keep a player who I think is a superstar when healthy than go out and have all this money with no one coming for it. Like, it's a rude awakening for some franchises that do that. So again, there is a risk, but if you're a market like New Orleans, yes, unfortunately, you gotta sign them. Like, who knows what they do, but that's just me.
Okay.
You gotta be a little more realistic with this type of stuff. That's why it's a problem.
All right.
But we'll see. We don't know. Victor could be healthy.
We'll take a break. We'll wrap up with the Lions coming up next. But before we go, Jeff, our good friends over at the Sports Marketing Agency.
The Sports Marketing Agency helps spread awareness about mental health and substance abuse. Their new podcast, This is the S Word, helps fight the stigma about seeking help. If you or someone you know is struggling, head to thesportsma.com for more information.
It's a great day to get some Centron in your life. Okay. There it is. Centron, here we go. Gotta grab the cranberry. Oh wait, it's 2 for $4. Gotta double up with the classic as well. Centron World, baby. Centron, available at select Kroger's, and if you wanna know how, go to @CentronWorld.com. You get dope like me. You know what? Why wait? Great taste, guaranteed.
Make sure it's seen and heard. Corner, jumper, tweet us, hop on the YouTube chat, slide in the DMS at Woodward Sports on all social media.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show. If you're watching at woodwardsports.com, thanks for checking out the website. Please be sure to check out the shows, the chicks, the news, the shop tabs that we have going on. If you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. And if you're listening, wherever you listen to your podcast, download and leave a 5-star review. And follow us on all social media at Woodward Sports.
You know, I got to say, the lighting on you today is excellent. I don't know what we did differently, but my goodness.
I got a light.
Well, I know you got a light, but today it looks extra, more different. Wow. We need to get that kind of lighting on Jeff. Oh, by the way, speaking of Jeff, if anybody wants his address, any of you stalkers out there, you can DM me. DM me, I'll give it to you for free, okay?
No.
I'm talking to a specific stalker out there. He knows who he is. I saw the screenshot yesterday. Buddy, if you want to make love to Jeff, you DM me, I'll give you his address.
No? No, don't do that. Don't do that.
I mean, you were talking about muscular dudes banging on him earlier in the show. I mean,
yeah, okay.
Look, I'll give you that one.
As soon as you said it, you knew. You jumped right to the pot.
I should know
I get
better.
it. We're an open-minded show. Like, you want to have sex with a dude, a gorilla, be my guest. I don't give a shit. All right? But, like, this is too much, Jeff. Now you're kind of invading my personal space here. All right.
Ask me about
First time
my
I'm
winner.
back with him, and this is what we do.
We?
Threatening to
We?
give my address back. You.
We. Garbage. All right. Look, more leaks coming out, of course. I'm sure you've all have heard. You've been typing in the chat. All confirmed now. The Lions will be playing on Thursday night. Of course, Thanksgiving. And the Green Bay Packers early on in the year. I believe it's week 5.
Correction.
Week 4.
You were correct.
Week 4.
You were
I
correct.
was correct.
It is week
motherfucker.
4. Dave Burkett tweeted out. He put week 5, but Ari actually,
Thank
who
you.
originally tweeted it, my sports update, who goes on Ermanni and Edwards a lot, he made the mistake. It is week 4, but they have 3 Thursday night games this year. Thanksgiving, the opener against the Chiefs, which we covered, and then against the Packers in week 4. And I believe that one is...
In Lambeau.
In Lambeau,
Yep.
correct. So
No, I love it. I love it. You know what? The last memory, the most recent game that was played early on in the year against the Packers, I believe, was it year 1 under Campbell?
when they played
They
the
played
Packers,
early, right?
Yeah.
I think they
which
played
game?
early. In Lambeau.
They had one game where it was tied 17-17 at the half, and then the Packers ran away
I
with
think
it.
that was early on in the year in Lambeau.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I'm right on that. And then the end of the year game, the Lions won, and that was at Ford Field.
Yep, and they picked off. Jordan Love got snaps at that time.
Yep.
I was at that game. Yep, you're correct.
Oh, man. Look, I like the Thursday. Look, I like primetime football, especially for the Lions. I think it's more exciting. It's fun. But, man, 3 Thursday night games? You know,
Lions
thankfully, the
fans.
first one is the opening one, so you actually have more rest going into week 2. It's actually not a bad thing. But the one against the Packers, you're going to have a game and then a short week. We don't know when the bye week is yet, right?
No.
See, who knows? Who knows? That bye week's probably going to come week 11, week 12, if it were my guess.
Mm-hmm.
It would either be the week before or after Thanksgiving.
And you could tell now, you look at bye weeks, the importance of bye weeks with guys getting injured. Last year, the Lions got really lucky. I mean, they had DJ banged up, of course. J-Mo was coming off an ACL injury. But for the most part, they didn't have too many significant injuries. So that bye week, it's going to be important. Lions, it's hard in the NFL. You're going to get hurt. It's not if, it's when. But the Lions avoided a lot of those key injuries last year. Hopefully this offensive line can stay healthy, because that bye week, I cannot wait to see when that bye week is, because it's important. It really is.
It's going to matter, especially with the amount of primetime games they have. But, hey, you know what? A fan base that has been dying to see their team late at night play, I don't see a problem with it. It is what it is. It's really only 2 Thursday night games. I don't count the first one because, yeah, it's on Thursday, but you didn't play on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not fatigued. It's early on in the year. I actually like it. They're pretty well balanced out. They're spread apart. I don't think it's going to affect the Lions in any way. I don't think there's a con to it. And again, if you want to talk about the Chiefs aspect, the biggest concern you have is, yeah, it's the Kansas City Chiefs. It's Andy Reid and Mahomes. But in the last 3 openers, Mahomes, 11 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. They don't lose. September is a don't lose month for the Chiefs. Your back's up against the wall in that week 1 game, but I'm just of the belief with Ben Johnson, the offense you have, you'll be able to surprise Kansas City more in week 1 than you would week 7, week 8, week 9. It's just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong.
And can I pivot for a second, because this is some NFC North news. Delvin Cook, I know I mentioned this before, Delvin's future being unclear. In Minnesota, shut up. I know where you're going with this.
Wait, what? What's going on? Tell me. Tell me.
Minnesota. Kevin O'Connell talked yesterday, or the last couple of days, and he said, quote, they're still working through some things, meaning Delvin and Vikings GM.
Mm-hmm.
Delvin could get cut.
Oh.
Like, this is a real thing. And it's been rumored for the last couple months, but Kevin O'Connell has yet to be committed with Delvin Cook, and Delvin could be a cap casualty.
You know what the truth is?
Because
Dalvin Cook is going to end up getting cut.
He's going
because
to be
I don't think he should take a pay cut, given it's his money and do what you want. But they need to pay Justin Jefferson, and they don't have a fucking choice.
Oh yeah.
Minnesota are finishing 3rd, maybe even 4th in the division this year.
Right. Jesus.
More NFL
promise
news.
you.
The Patriots just announced that they'll be honoring Tom Brady at their home opener.
Oh, fuck the Patriots. Honestly. Now you want to honor him? Fuck you. Fuck you. It's bad enough we have to watch you win 6 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
You fucking ruined my childhood. Go fuck yourselves, New England. I don't give a shit about Brady or banners or anything. All right, moving on. We'll go to mailbag. When we get back, we'll answer all of your questions. But before we go, Jeff, our good friends over at Guardian Alarm.
Well, let me tell you about our friends over at Guardian Alarm, because, guys, we talk about defenses. The Lions' defense is going to be much improved, but I'll tell you a defense that's always improving, and that's Guardian Alarm. Customized solutions from real experts. Their professional technicians take the time to recommend security and automation solutions specific to your needs. They also have 24/7 professional monitoring. You can call them anytime, day or night. Know that a Guardian team member will stay on the phone with you for as long as you need. They also have technology backed by people, and not only that, but people that have been proven to care for you. Call 1-800-STAY-OUT today for more information.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
The only sports network in Detroit that starts with a W. You know, because we win. Woodward Sports, Detroit's winning sports network.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show. Thanks for tuning in today for our 8 to 10 show at woodwardsports.com. If you're looking for more content today on Detroit sports, as there will be lots going on today with the Lions schedule reveal. We also have Big D Energy on from 11 to 1, then Ermanni and Edwards with Maz from 2 to 4, and the heavyweights from 5 to 7 at woodwardsports.com, or watch on YouTube, like and subscribe. Mailbag time.
Mailbag time. Let's get to your questions, Jeff. You can start off wherever you want. Be my guest.
Jack asks, how nervous are you and Sam, Jeff, for the Lakers games, for the Lakers game 6? Well, I'll tell you, Jack, and I'll let Sam answer for himself. I won't speak for him. I picked the Lakers in 6. So, am I nervous? Yeah. But I'm also excited. Because I haven't gotten a series right in the playoffs. Because I haven't really made too many predictions. But I'll be proud of this one, Sam Flanagan. What say you? Are you worried?
I'm only worried if AD doesn't play, because I predicted the Warriors to win last night and for the Lakers to win in 6. I would have really liked the Lakers to close it out, but that's a really tough ask going back to Golden State in Game 5. I'm not worried unless I don't see Anthony Davis on the court. Then I'm terrified.
Nick asks, mailbag, outside of the Lions, who will be a surprise NFL team next season?
Surprise NFL team next season will be the Houston Texans. I don't think they'll have as much success as the Lions, but I think they'll be a lot better than people are going to say they are.
I'll say the Carolina Panthers.
But is that really a surprise?
Yeah. Well, I mean, surprise meaning a team that didn't make the playoffs, that could challenge for the playoffs. I'd say the Panthers.
Fair enough. Jeff, don't you think Adam should go on a road trip to the Lions game with Fish, Stick, Maz for content? We would love it. Second question, Gabby, High Noons or White Claws?
Every time. There's always an alcohol question in
Answer
here
it
for
first
me.
so I can get to the other part.
High Noons.
High Noons, good girl. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, look. First of all, you guys should know me by now. If I were to go on a road trip with any of you, that would be the end of your lives and mine. Okay?
Yeah.
Number one, we wouldn't get any content because I would end up killing everybody that I went on the road trip with. Two, I have no patience for people on an extended road trip at all. So grouping me up with people I either like or don't like is not going to work out in their favor. And you know what? All the times I've pitched you guys on me being a serial killer, that's probably going to be true if I go on a road trip with those guys. Fish is the first motherfucker I tie up and kill. Fish is the example, and then I strip Maz naked, I tie his hands together, and then I let him run out in the wild, and I go hunt his ass down, and I leave him for the bears to eat up later. All right, cool. Moving on.
How about this question? Eric Burrow, mailbag. Who does Gabby think will be the breakout rookie this season?
Great question. Broderick Martin?
Oh, no. Why?
Broderick Martin.
That's a surprise pick.
That's my sleeper, man. We talked about it a couple days ago.
about it earlier, and the more we talk about it, the more I'm fully convinced that he has an opportunity to come out and make a huge difference.
All right.
We'll see.
Back to killing people. Speaking of Maz, if I were stuck in a car with Maz, by the way, I think this is a great point by Tony. Maz would be in the car with me trying to tell me that Malik Willis should be a top 10 quarterback, or how he could be.
What seat would Maz have in the car?
If it was me, Maz, Stick, and Fish, I would put Maz in the front.
Okay.
I would put Fish in the trunk
Okay.
and Stick in the back.
Great.
Yep.
And you're driving.
And I'm driving. Absolutely. Nobody is driving. Absolutely not. And all their hands are tied. Absolutely.
Fletch says, mailbag, hey guys, coming up from Florida next Thursday. Can we stop by the studio if possible?
Be my guest.
Feel free.
Maybe Jeff will be here. Who knows?
Yeah, I'll be here.
Be our guest.
Come through.
We'd love to see you guys.
At this rate, I'll be the only one standing.
Dante asked mailbag, do you think the Lions play a Sunday night game this year?
No, they don't. Yeah. They won't. It's already confirmed. They have 3 Thursday night games. That's it. Or 3 Thursday football games. 2 of them at night. 1 of them Thanksgiving. Moving on. Any thoughts on the Tigers winning their 5th series in a row? Don't give a fuck. Still don't give a fuck.
Should know better than to bring up the
still
Tigers
don't give a
and
fuck.
mailbag with Adam.
Shout out to AJ Hinch.
Like shout out to the team and the players. They're busting their ass. They're winning. Good for them. I don't give a fuck. 40 games into the year. Yeah. I just don't give a fuck.
AJ Hinch.
Get 70, 80, 90 games into the year. Be 50 and 45. Be 50 and 40. Then we'll talk, maybe.
Squeezing. AJ,
maybe we'll talk.
He's squeezing every last bit you can get out of this roster.
What's going to happen is you're going to trade Eduardo Rodriguez at the trade deadline. Everyone's going to freak out. Oh, my God. And then you're going to lose the rest of your games. All right, moving on.
Mailbag, will Gibbs be RB1 by the end of the season?
Oh, absolutely. I think he is RB1.
It's just how he's utilized.
How he's, yes. Yeah. Montgomery will get the majority of the carries, but touches, I think they're going to be the same roughly because you're going to use Gibbs in a lot of different ways. So I would expect them really to be 1 and 1A if you want to categorize it that way, but I think they're both ones.
Mailbag, what does Jack Campbell have to do to win Defensive Rookie of the Year?
I say 115 tackles, 2 sacks, a forced fumble, and interception. I think that's enough.
Consistent impact every week.
I think he comes out day one. He's like the guy on the defense. Oh, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And I think he can be. I really do.
Hoof-hearted. I love this question. Shout out to him. Mailbag, do any of you know why Maz loves every mid QB that isn't on the Lions?
Well, guys, because, sometimes in life we want something. We see the shiny toy in Kansas City. We see it in Cincinnati.
Or you see the shiny toy in Tennessee.
Well,
is he shiny?
You see it.
Yeah.
Well, you see it, and you hope you can have one day, and then your mom takes you to Target.
Ooh.
And the shiny toys are out of stock, so you go and grab the shitty $7 one, and you go home thinking you got the $50 toy, but you ended up getting the $7 toy. Your mom just didn't tell you, and you get fucked.
I'm just
and
gonna
that's what
prepare
Malik
you.
Willis is.
I'm gonna prepare you since you have a kid coming.
Yeah.
$7 toys, not really a thing unless you're going to the dollar store anymore. $50 toys. Now you're starting to talk. I'm just preparing.
Yeah, I have
you.
no idea.
I just want to get your mind set.
Whether I
for
have a
this
say in it
price
or not,
range
my
with these
wife is going to
toys.
spoil the kid, whether I like it or not. My job is to make sure if he fucks up, I hit him. That's it. That's my job.
So who will be a surprise team in college football next year? Ready.
I'm sorry, Gabby.
Who's going to keep the show on track tomorrow? We have
Tomorrow?
JB here, voice of reason. I'm not here tomorrow.
Today's Wednesday. Today's Thursday?
Today's Thursday.
Fuck.
Today is Thursday.
You're
I
gone
know.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
You motherfucker. Can you FaceTime us on the show tomorrow from New York?
I can be mixing.
You should go to one of those BLM or transgender rallies. FaceTime ups. Hey guys, check it in.
So you didn't answer my question. Who's going to be the biggest surprise in college football next year?
I think your quarterback from Florida State. You should do that sign while you're in New York anyways.
You're just sucking up.
Tell Donald Trump I said hi.
Rude.
Tell Donald Trump I said hi. He did a great job on CNN last night.
Jordan Travis.
I forgot who asked this question, but it's a good question to end the show. Who leads the Lions in interceptions? Big Con 51 asks. Who leads the Lions in interceptions next year? I would say... Sam, I want your thoughts on this because I think you...
It's got to be Kirby.
Well, Kirby or CJ. I'll go Kirby. It's because the ball finds him. I don't know.
Shitty cop-out answer. It wouldn't surprise me if 4 guys finished the year with 3 interceptions, and that's the lead on the team. Cop-out answer, I know.
No, that
to me is like what I really think can happen.
Yeah.
I think multiple guys will get multiple interceptions, and they're all going to be tied with probably 3. I don't see anybody getting 6 or 7.
Herb Nash says golf.
Fucking assholes.
He's not wrong. I mean, if Goff throws, let's say 11, it's still we'll lead him. But yeah, no, I'll go Kirby. Ball just finds him. What say you, Sam?
I'm gonna go C.J. Gardner-Johnson, coming off leading the NFL, tying for the league lead with. I think he's gonna have. Obviously, guys like Emmanuel Mosley and Cam Sutton to be more lockdown, and C.J. Gardner-Johnson can play more center field. I think he gets 5.
Why not? Why not? A lot of optimism flowing. I hope you guys enjoy the schedule released tonight. It'll probably get leaked before, but you all enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Gabby, we'll miss you tomorrow. Sad to see you go, but you'll be back Monday, right? Thankfully,
I'll be here
hopefully.
Monday.
Thank God.
Monday.
So it'll be me,
I
Jeff.
show up to work most days.
You're better than most here. So
Rain or shine.
we appreciate that. Alex, thank you again. Flannel, thank you for filling in for JB the last 2 days. I'm going to miss you tomorrow. Buddy.
That's right. I'm not going to be on tomorrow. It's all right.
Well, maybe we'll bring you on as a guest in the second hour. Talk some Lakers-Warriors. Preview Game 6.
I'm down, man. I'll be back there.
I'll
be in the building.
All right. We'll get to tomorrow's show. You guys all enjoy the rest of your Thursdays. I'm going to go pass out and take some allergy medication. Jeff is going to go fuck some random girl that he met on Tinder.
Have a great
rest of your day.
And Friday.
Shout out to all my good friends in New York. I'm sure you all love me. No better state than the state of New York, right? Woohoo! All right, we're out of here. Goodbye. See you guys tomorrow.